Is it my imagination or insanity? A strange hum, a flash of light. I'm overcome, nothing but fright. Otherworldly beings taking me in the night. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Looking at my hand, there's something there. Inside of me, I'm feeling oh so scared. Confusion and nasty fear. It wasn't just a nightmare. So loud, so bright, hypnotizing me figures lost in time. I'm tortured, surrounding me tonight. I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Where are they taking me? Fears welling in me. Where are they taking me? Anxiety rising. Was it just in my head? Paralyzing panic. Was it just in my head? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. What do I do? What do I do? Where are they taking me? Where are they taking me? I'm an extraterrestrial hostage tonight. I wanna run, but I can't move. I don't feel real. I wake up in my bed. Was it just in my head? Who's holding my hand in the darkness? Seeing ghosts down the hallway. There's a presence, bedroom shadows, cloaked and haunting me. Cold hand touching me. Fear overwhelming me. Tapping at my window. I can't bear to open my eyes. A breath on my neck. Floating apparitions everywhere. Go to sleep with the light on. I wake up
something changed inside of me. The inner human slowly deadening me. I feel it come alive. The darkness brings me light. There ain't no stopping it, and you will never hide from me. Pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. It's hard to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. It's hard to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. I'm still inside. I'm still here. What have I done? When did this all start? I have become a monster in the dark. A hunger like no other. Running on instinct. Was this creature always inside of me? The pain of the change. What have I become? A creature of the night, ruled by moonlight. The pain of the change. This body's no longer mine. Feel wild and free, but caged at the same time. It's hard to be human, think human, feel human. A hunger's arising inside of me. The beast is alive and break it free. It's hard to be human, think human, feel human. Keep putting more chains on the beast. Hope it don't break loose. You better hope so too. You better hope so too. You better hope so too.
When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. Where the darkness surrounds me, shape shifting in the night, stalking you. Does my face seem familiar? Does my body tell you more? Will I change you or will it end you? And the power that I have could give you eternal life. Death doesn't know me. I've become eternal. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed. With the darkness surrounds me, where the mist, she follows me. I walk along watching you, following you, leaning on you through the night. When the hunger wakes me, I live to feed.
Blow it up a little bit more. So what's happened now because of the camera? We can't really tilt it down too much.
Camera should be alright.
You only see this part now of me, which is fine.
Okay.
It's fine with me. You just can't read my shirt. People actually like my shirt. See that?
I don't know. If they can
Kuma,
hear-
martial arts school, right away. So I just decided I'll just show my shirt at the beginning of the show so
I
everybody.
don't know if they can hear your explanation with the music going.
Okay. There we go. Just turn it off. And and I need to move over too. The camera needs to be moved to this way, I think, a little bit.
Like that?
Yeah, a little bit more. There you go. Good. All right, can everybody hear me? I hope everybody can hear me. Folks, we're going to have a great show tonight. It's going to be fun. We're going to have a good time, dude. I got to say, it's going to be awesome. I really do. Texting one of my colleagues here. Everybody go watch Hellbent Holler earlier. Those guys are awesome, huh? They're how many subs? I think I saw it was like 17 something.
Yeah, I
But
think so. Let me
they're
see.
moving along. They're like us. They're just rolling, dude. This war didn't slow them down a bit. I mean,
No.
and it hurt us. I mean, you know, in any real way.
Their stuff is too high production value to be slowed down by bullcrap.
I hear that about us too. That we do a really good production value.
They put too much work into their stuff.
And how about that Bear King?
You know what? I actually decided on it. That's definitely my favorite one.
The Bear King?
Yeah, because it was between that one and the Mummy one, and I was like, I need time. I don't know, but the Bear King one stuck in my head.
It was instantaneous for me. The Mummy was number 2. The Bear King, then the Mummy is number 2, then the Vampire, and then the Haunting, and then La Llorona, the Alien, and the Werewolf one are all even. I like them all. Like
Yeah, they're all good.
I get them in my head, and I'll be humming them, and you know. Bear King is an incredible song, very powerful. Okay, so my wife told me to go ahead and say this, and it's, yeah, okay, I will say this. She wrote the lyrics. She did that, but she did it. I helped a lot. And the Bear King, that was like my deal. That one was my, the one that I really wanted because it's a legend from Central Texas here. And so I wanted that one to be. It is crooked, isn't it? Oh, there you go. I don't like that flat bill. Every now and then I'll wear it like that, but it's just pop culture-y.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, the flat bill looks. It makes you look really immature.
It's dumb. I mean, really. A lot of people like it, but let's put it this way: it looks dumb on me. It's just not my thing.
It would give you like serious midlife crisis vibes. I would start worrying about you if you're wearing it like that.
Can y'all hear me? Because somebody just said their audio is out.
Yeah, they can hear you.
So audio is out for you, that one guy. Somebody text it to him and let him know that he's the only one whose audio is out. Went to the gym last night, and I got to tell you, we're waiting for some people to show up here, and then we'll get it going. I will tell you this. I have been going to Big Tech's for about 2 weeks straight, and you know, they have certain machines and certain, you know, free weights and things that I do, and I was like, you know, I was killing it, doing 40 exercises, upper body, over 1,000, 1,200. Today I'm going to do more reps on my legs than I have in a while, so we'll see what happens, but I'm not looking forward to that. Leg days is brutal, but you got to do it. You got to do your legs. And so I was sitting there thinking last night, I was like, you know, I don't really feel like going to Big Tech's. There's this machine that they have at Planet Fitness where I can stretch my back out real good. And they have this big monkey bar thing that you stretch your back. And I think I need that. And then I need to sit on that water bed and get a good massage. And so I said, I'm going to go to Planet Fitness, but every time it never fails. If I go to one more than I go to the other, when I go back to that particular gym, it is brutal. And I'm props to Planet Fitness. I'm a big guy. I'm a very, very strong individual. And this isn't bragging. This isn't something that the bearded lady can go run and go, see, God, that little punk. But no. Planet Fitness kicked my ass last night. And folks, I'll tell you why. I figured it out. I mean, it's not rocket science. I was sitting there and I was doing the first few exercises and I was like, this is okay. I'm good. I'm doing good. Because it always does that. But then they have certain machines that they don't have at Big Techs. It's 2 different workouts. And so if I start going for about a week or 2 at Planet Fitness and then go back to Big Techs, it will brutalize me. And the workout back is just so hard. I mean, it will kick your ass. I'm not joking, man. Excuse me for using the word ass, but it is what it is. It'll kick your butt. And so that's what happened last night. And I was about 10 exercises in, which that's a lot. Most people, 10 exercises in, you're good. They're already done. They're done. But I've conditioned my body to do a lot more. And so 10 in and I'm going like, why am I struggling? Maybe I'm just tired. I haven't been, I had a little bit of a sickness, whatever, and it went away. And I thought maybe I was left over from that. Which may have been a mild form of the vid because a lot of our workers had it and some of our friends, which we have workers and friends that are the same. They're friends and workers. And so I was just like, what in the hell is going on? So I told Anthony, I was like, are you dog tired? He says, yes. And the last workout we did at Big Techs, we killed it, both of us, right?
Yeah, I was, like I said, abnormally tired after that last one.
Yeah.
I'm not usually that tired.
We were dying, and it was just, I was like, and then I realized, this is a different exercise. It does something, each one does something a little different. That pec deck.
Yeah.
Because even though I do those elongated flies on that really hard machine, the pec deck was whooping my ass too. And I was like, what in the hell is going on? And I think because the machine at Big Techs, it isolates this a little more. Your arms don't really do much.
Yeah.
But on that pec deck, you're getting all that inside of the arms, and I'm going like, ooh. And so props to Planet Fitness. I mean, it can be a kind of a goofy little gym, especially once you're used to it. And I did do on that pullback with the machine they have, I did all the weight, 3 sets of 20. But it was hard last night. Because I was used to doing that one over there at Big Techs, with the free weights.
Yeah.
And I think you get a little, your body, it's how the body works. The body adapts. You know what I mean? To where the workout starts becoming easy. And then if somebody comes in and they haven't done that workout, they're falling over dead. But your body has adapted to it. So
yeah, it'll adapt to whatever resistance you throw at it. Mm-hmm.
Like Wim Hof says, let the body do what the body is capable of doing. He always says that. I love that when he starts out with that. He goes, breathe. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. And he's got that accent, the Dutch accent. But he's right. Believe in your body. Let the body do what the body is capable of doing. And that is one thing that you have to believe is your body can do that. Me, I believe in the power of Christ. And the whole time I'm working out, I'm in prayer. I'm not lying. I'm like, God, help me
all connected.
Get through it, please.
Spirit, mind, body.
Mm-hmm. It's all connected. And so that's the key. And XN, he's Dutch. He's Dutch, right?
Yeah.
He said he's Finnish. I think he's Dutch, XN, I'm pretty sure. But, in fact, I know he is. There was a guy that did a hit piece on him recently, which I thought was real chicken crap.
Yeah.
Because, the guy goes and interviews him, starts doing his system, and then admits that it works and starts using it, writes a book about it. Then he turns around so that he can, be a journalist and just trashes the guy in this one interview he did on another channel, and I'm thinking, what a piece of work you are, dude. Right, yeah, okay. Because somebody stuck their head in a bucket of ice water and drowned or something because they, it's like, it says on there's a disclaimer not to do certain things. So if you go and you do those certain things that you're told not to do, it's like on Pulp Fiction. Michael Madsen, he says those people would still be alive if they hadn't told when I told them not to do.
No, that was Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs, right? Yeah, I said Reservoir Dogs. And he says, I told them not to push the button. They did it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't condone that. I don't condone criminality. But it is a funny thing because...
Well, it's like the lady who got fat on... she became obese and I think like diabetic from because all she would eat was McDonald's. And she ended up suing them. And I think she... I don't know. I never kept up with it, but she probably won. It wouldn't surprise me if she won that lawsuit. But yeah, there's just really no like. There's no kind of like accountability, personal responsibility. It's always like someone else's fault with everything. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, if y'all like those songs, I posted the link to the to where you can find Paranormal Sound Table. That's what we released all those songs under. They're all on the YouTube channel. It's at the top of the chat. If you click there, I mean not right now, but you know later on you can find it there. Let's see what else we got here. Were they holding her at gunpoint? Well, she acted like they. She acted like they were.
You know, and I'm not a fan of the fallen arches, but there has to be some personal accountability.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there was a lady who she spilled hot coffee on herself from McDonald's.
Well, camera on me.
And she sued them because she spilled her own coffee on herself. And it even says on the cup, as if grabbing the cup doesn't warn you enough, you know. But it says on the cup that it's like scorching hot, and she sued and won.
I remember one time we were in Round Rock when I was a kid. And my dad, being the nice guy that he is, the person handing him the coffee spilled it on him, and it burned the hell out of his hand and his arm, and he threw it, and the person kind of moved, you know. But this is back, you know, in the 80s. I was a little kid. I don't know if they had good cameras or not. I don't know. And then he cussed him out and drove off. And I was like, I always wondered that. And later on, I thought, man, we could have sued these people. Because my dad burned the crap out of him. You know, scorched scalded his arm, his hand. Yeah, and my dad literally lost he had a blister on his hand right here. Yeah. It was bad, you know. And I thought if his temper wouldn't have gotten in the way, we probably could have been rich. I said he got mad, cussed the guy, and threw the coffee at him. But you know how my dad is. He's a big old hothead, gets mad and wants to crack your head open, which, you know, when he was younger, he was capable of that. You know, that was his thing, was being a bully. Well, you know, I can't really say he was a bully. He bullied me. But I didn't really see him bullying too many people. I know that we had a feud with the neighbors because I had a beautiful border collie. He was a sweet little dog named Rascal, and they had pit bulls, which probably began my disdain for that species. That, and they tore my neighbor's dog up, and then they attacked our Mastiff puppies, and then they killed another neighbor of mine's cat right in front of me. So they've done things, and then they've bit, you know, one of my godsons.
You're gonna start a debate in the comments. They're gonna be like, "It's not the breed, it's the owner." Every single time.
Well, there's just a lot.
The owner, not the breed.
There's a lot of them that do it. Let's put it that way.
Suddenly, some genetics don't exist. Yeah,
they like to ignore that. And there's a lot of you. I know a lot of you love pit bulls, and you have them, and they're probably sweethearts. But in my experience, I have dealt with a lot of them that have been not sweethearts, that have acted like land sharks. And so that's my experience. And what do I know, right? But what this dog did, two dogs actually, they damn near killed my border collie. He was just a pup. And these two absolute, I'm talking trashy, hillbilly type people. They're like, "Oh, well, our dog," and I was like, "Your dog's running around loose." This is in the country, but there was like 4 of us that lived kind of close by, and then we didn't have any neighbors for a while, and then there was more over there, kind of country, you know. And so my friend Keith lived down at the bottom of the hill, And then my other friend lived like through the woods on the other side, but there were it was a weird family back there. They were weird, like deliverance weird.
Yeah.
And it was weird. But then there were these two hillbilly brothers that lived, I'm not making this up. I think they shared the same wife, who was also their sister. And that was because there were some Hispanic people that lived on the other side that actually worked with my dad, and they actually had a pretty nice house, and they lived next door to these people. Well, not next door. It was like everybody had like at least 2 acres.
Yeah.
So their acres were right next door, and he said that they were outside doing things.
Wow.
So they were like, yeah, that's they were those kind of people, and they had their dogs just running around loose, and my dad put a stop to it. One of them came into our yard and did what he does with coyotes and just hung it on the fence and said, here it is, right here. And they came over acting like they wanted to have a gun battle, and my dad shot their truck up right in front of me. I was like 9 years old. And my dad threw me a gun and basically said, let's go outside and deal with these people. I'm like, I'm 9, okay? These are 2 big, burly mountain men, and my dad got the drop on him. He came out like he was unarmed, and then he went to scratch his back, and then he had 2 guns like Doc Holliday, and told them to get back in their truck. And one of them, he had his scatter gun ready to go. I'm sitting there shaking, holding, a shotgun that was, I don't know if I would have pulled the trigger or not. And my dad shot through their truck about 4 or 5 times and was like, you want some more? And they were like, nope. The end of it. That happened. It really happened. And I was scared to death. I was just sitting there shaking, and my dad just said, don't ride your bike around for a while, And our other neighbors, we all kind of banded together and dealt with these people, said, look, you can act a fool and something, and then somebody actually did something to their mailbox. Wasn't us. And then they tried to blame us for that. And then somebody did something to their other dog. Wasn't us. But there again, that dog was killing the neighbor's chickens. And then they got into it with the deliverance family. And those people were like, they had lived out there for like 3 or 4 generations and rarely went to town type people.
Yeah.
And so that was when they left. At least I think they left. I don't know if maybe the deliverance people ate them. I don't know. I know me and Keith were walking through there one time, and we're just waiting for the chat to fill up, folks. Me and Keith were walking through there one time, and one of them was literally had a hog like hanging from a tree. And I mean, I'm talking like you can make a movie out of this. We were walking by, we had guns, thank God. And I was walking with my snake charmer, and he had a nice piece there, and we were walking. And he had a 22-250, and they were looking at us like, the guy's like sitting there holding the knife, like teeth like kind of on one side of his face. And I was like, what's up? And he's just like, he's looking at us, like the Chainsaw Massacre family. And Keith was like, yeah, just don't even make eye contact with him. He goes, that's one of the weird ones. I'm like, oh, you mean there's normal ones? Like the one girl that lives with the Munsters, there's like a normal one or whatever. Well, I found out that there actually was. There was a girl that lived with them that was pretty and kind of normal, and she grew up and ended up going and marrying a friend of ours. And secondhand, I heard some really weird stories about those people. They never messed with us. I wandered through the woods a couple times looking for one of my dogs, and one of them came up to me and was like, is this your dog? And I'm like, he's like, she's real pretty. And I said, yeah, she's my dog. It's Rosie. And he goes, oh, I like her a lot. Well, here you go. And he just like got her by the collar, and she came running to me. And then I looked back and he's waving, and so they never messed with me. They never messed with us or did anything to our animals.
Yeah.
But when the 2 goofballs, I think they were like from North Carolina or something, they just moved there to work at the power plant. One of them did. And, they when they started having problems with the deliverance people, that's when they left. And then their house burned down. But I think they had already left. So I think they weren't playing around.
Yeah.
The deliverance people were not to be messed with. And for whatever reason, they liked me. I mean, one day I saw one of them tromping through my yard, and I was like, sitting there looking at the baseball game. I used to watch baseball even as a kid. I know a lot of people say it's weird, but I love the Astros. Thank you for the donation, Miguel Garrett. We appreciate it a lot, believe me. And so I went outside to look to see who it was, and the guy was holding a gun, and I'm like, a double barrel. I don't know what he was doing. And I don't remember that one's name in particular, but I just kind of looked, and I think his name was Bobby. And he turned and he just says, "I'm just cutting through. Is that okay with you?" And I'm like, I'm by myself, and I'm like 8 years old. Yeah, fine. I don't, whatever.
It's going to have to be.
My dogs were all growling and stuff, and he was like, "It's okay." And he was petting my one dog that usually would just tear people apart, and he was just being friendly with him. And I thought, well, that's the only thing I got to protect me.
Yeah.
This dude's, if he wanted to come in here and attack me, I don't know if I could have shot him or not, I was a kid. So, yeah, it was growing up over there in that spot was pretty rough, just because of the weird people, And sometimes they would walk to town, and you'd see them walking along the highway. And one day my dad just told them all pile in the back of the truck. 'Cause back then people could sit in the back of the truck. It was like in the mid-'80s, And we gave them a ride to town. And I guess they liked us. They never messed with us. But they did have problems with some other people. We just tried to stay on their good side. It's best policy when it comes to people like that. So, folks, what we got tonight, we're definitely going to do a show. Got some weird Dogman reports, and I've been wanting to get into these. The reason we're on tonight, it's very simple. Because last night, we didn't do the show. Monday, we did the Saturday show last night. So tonight will be the makeup for Sunday. Because I like to give you what we got. And we have no shortage of people that send us stories. Today I woke up. Monday is always a slam day. Monday is always a slam. I woke up today. And so what I ended up doing, hold on one second. See, it was Chris James was talking to me, talking about what we're doing this weekend. And I haven't even confirmed the guests for this coming weekend. I think it's Dr. Bertram and Jason McLean on Saturday. Friday's guest, let me see, so I can give you an idea of what we're going to talk about. Look at the calendar. Yes, Friday will be great. We'll be talking Bigfoot and some other stuff with a researcher from here in Central Texas. It should be good. So Friday will be fun. Did you put the link on for the songs?
Yeah, it's pinned at the top of the chat.
Take over for a second. I gotta do something real quick.
Okay.
We'll be right back, folks.
Well, I know that tomorrow's episode, which is going to be an hour-long episode, it's going to be the standard podcast episode. That one in particular, it's going to be a Dogman, but I had a lot of fun recording that one, and I don't know. It's just like it's a really like unique story. Because like a lot of times you'll hear like encounters of Dogman and werewolves, Bigfoot, things like that, and like they're interesting, but some of them they kind of start to run together. Tomorrow's episode is not one of those. Things. It's I don't know. It's just like it was fun to record it. I'm gonna have fun editing it, and you're gonna have fun checking it out. So don't miss it. I'm gonna have it out by 7 o'clock tomorrow night. And then, of course, Wednesday, we're going to release I believe that's going to be the third episode that we recorded with our guests, she had a lot. Angela Shelton had a lot of stuff to cover. So
Yeah, and I think that one's
most of
gonna be
it
more
is like her
cryptids now.
Yeah, but like most of those episodes are kind of just her sharing her encounter throughout her lives, or her encounters throughout her life. And we kind of just let her talk because she had so much to share that, it wouldn't do her justice if we were to just talk about everything, like talk about every story after she shared it. She wouldn't be able to share everything she had. I mean, even with that 3 hours, you couldn't get it all out.
Let me make this text real quick. I haven't eaten, so I gotta eat these. These are pretty good. They're called Legendary. And they got 20 grams of protein. They're made like a Pop-Tart, but it doesn't have the consistency. And if you're looking for a sugary Pop-Tart, that's not what it is. But it's not bad. Could be worse. Hellbent Holler, hey, get in touch with me so we can do a collaboration. We're supposed to do a collaboration with them. I need to get that done. It's been a long time coming. And it will be a podcast, pre-record. Hopefully 2 or 3 hours. I would say Jesse and Joe got a lot to say. They were on the show and everybody loved them being on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Only good can come of it.
Mm-hmm.
Barton, how you doing? I know Larry's in here somewhere lurking around. I saw him. He was talking earlier. Lead Tracker E, how you doing? Talked to you on Saturday. Stefan, get over to Triangle. Train that guy. We love you, Stefan. Great guy. Great kid. Good worker. Very low maintenance. Doesn't cause problems.
Yeah, he's a rare one.
Elastic Machinery. Great guy. Solid dude. We have great friends, great people, great family. Clough made a video today. Go check it out. I actually, for the first time, showed up in his chat today because it was just, some of these people, they do this, they act like they're above it, they're so cool, and, and they do these and they attack people, and you're like, dude, no, you're not. And that guy, Dusher, he's one of them, dude. He's just so used to being the bully and getting away with it for so long. You're not going to bully me, dude. Junior Vargas says there's some troll trying to hack the PRT live stream. Why, what's going on, Junior?
Everything's working fine on our end.
The numbers are kind of bouncing around. What's going on with that? Well, let's get started. Let's get started here. We gave everybody some time to get in. If they get in late, they get in late. They always do that, though, and then they'll be like, I missed part of it. I wish you could rewind. No, because then you do that, Davy Jones. Come back or don't come back, whatever. I don't care.
You don't have to announce that you're leaving,
Yeah.
You can just go.
Who are you anyway, Davy?
The government doesn't want you to know this, but you can just go.
Who are you? Because somebody told me you were somebody. I don't know if that's true or not, but that maybe I don't want in my chat. I hope it's not true. They said the audio's cutting in and out.
That sounds all right on my end. I'm monitoring it. It might be something just on their end. Maybe their connection's bad.
People, they think that by announcing something negative and then leaving my chat that it's hurting my feelings. It's not. And they're like, well, you just lost a listener. Well, there's 30,400 others. I'm sorry that you are upset. And if you go to the podcast, there's twice that many. So not bragging. I'm just being completely honest. Your opinion duly noted. Thank you for announcing that you're upset with whatever the hell it is you're upset about. So here's what I'm going to talk about. The first story. I got a couple. I'm going to talk about some Shadow Man stuff and Shadow people, because one of them is obviously not a man. And then the other one is Dogman. I'll start with this one. I had somebody, and both of these come from West Texas. One is further west in San Angelo, and the other one is kind of northwest out of Anson. These are all in Texas. These two, there's three of them in Texas. This one in Anson was really odd. And I don't know how long it's going to go for, but they gave me a bevy of information, and I thought about just doing an hour on the live stream, but then it would end up being 2 hours probably. And then I thought there's multiple encounters that this person had. And they heard me mention Anson on the show once before when I was talking about Abilene and where I lived as a kid in Haskell. And Doris, that's the name she gave me. I don't know if that's her real name, and I didn't ask. But what she said was her dad, back in 1952, encountered, that was the first time their family encountered this, and that was the year my dad was born, actually. And then, of course, my favorite card of all time, Mickey Mantle's rookie card, although he's a rookie in 51. So 52, 1952, the Topps card, that's the holy grail of baseball cards. I've always wanted one. But you got to be a millionaire to possess that. What ended up happening, she said that, she's like, I wasn't even born yet, and my dad was in the war, and he had severe PTSD. He was island hopping against the Japanese, and she's like, he came back with severe problems. She's like, we were living on the edge of town, and we know that he would have flashbacks, and his wife, she claimed that, well, he would see things. So she thought, obviously, that he said, hey, last night when I was sleeping by the window, I heard something call my name. And she didn't give me a name for him, so I'm just going to, I don't know, what do we call him? I didn't ask the name of her dad. I just, Hank sounds as good a name as any. But so Hank was like, I heard something calling my name last night, and when I opened my eyes, I look out the window, and what did I see? I see a wolf. And she's like, Hank, she's like, we haven't seen any wolves around here in years. And they were raised in that area. He says, yeah, well, there used to be a lot of them. And she's like, yeah, but not anymore. So they treat him with kid gloves. He was having a hard time, severe PTSD. And people coming back from World War II or even Vietnam or Korea, they didn't get the help they should have gotten. There wasn't a support group, or there wasn't a bunch of people saying, oh, that's horrible what they did to you, They didn't have that. And vets still get the shaft. I don't care. We're Rome. When the Romans treated their vets terribly, they should have given them more than what they did. They gave the nobles and the rich families the good land, and then everybody else had to go out to the provinces like Macedonia, or Dacia. Go there and live. You're not going to Gaul, be around a bunch of rowdy, vandals. So it's a shame. But anyway, he says, I saw something in the window. And he goes, and it was big. It was a big wolf, and it had red eyes. And so his wife, obviously, she was skeptical because Hank was going through some serious issues. He had PTSD. And so they did not believe completely in what he was telling them. They thought maybe he was starting to have a mild form of dementia, although he wasn't even that old. They thought that maybe he was losing it because the war had taken a toll on him. He had watched a couple of his friends be destroyed, and he had gotten partially burned by a flamethrower. So on his back, the right side of his back, he had a big, massive scar where friendly fire got him when they were trying to clear out a hole. And so that was what ultimately got him out of the war. And so, he had some problems. He had some issues, and sometimes he was in so much pain that he would even lay on his left side because he couldn't, So she was like, well, tonight, sleep on the other side of the bed so this wolf doesn't come and try to talk to you. So that's what he did. Well, the next night, the wolf came back, and it actually talked to her. Then she knew that it was not. So invisibleness, as Roman soldiers took their share from the people they conquered, they were not poor by any means. That's not true at all. That is not true at all. There's even a documentary. Peter Coyote does a narration, and just to set the record straight, the Roman soldiers did not earn what they should have earned. They could take what they could carry, which wasn't much. A lot of times, when they marched back home, they ended up with nothing. Small pensions, and they didn't loot and plunder and get to keep a whole lot. What can you keep when you can only carry a little sack? They didn't allow them to load up ox carts because those were dedicated to the weapons and the grain and the things they needed. So invisibleness, I respectfully disagree with what you're saying. Rome, Power and Glory even talks about how the Roman soldier, and there were a lot of them, including Cicero and a lot of other senators who pointed that out, that the Roman soldiers lived less comfortably than the freed people. Freed people being conquered people like Celts and Africans that would come and live in the empire, like Syrians, and would eventually gain citizenship and would own more than the soldiers. And that happens in our country now, too. So I'm going to move on. I'm addressed that, and so whatever. So here I'm going to tell you what ended up happening. She says, I wake up, she told her daughter this, and her sons. She had 2 sons and a daughter. The daughter's the one that told me this. She wakes up and she says, I'm staring, and it was hot, but, back then, the houses they built them. They didn't build them with central heat and air in mind. They built them with cross breezes so that they could get the air and circulate. And she said it was hot, but at night, and we know this in Texas, it can cool off. It's not like Vegas, which I stayed in for a while, where you wake up 1 or 2 at night, you go outside, it's like you're still melting. Yeah. If you put your hand on the bricks, your hand catches a beating. No. So what ends up happening is they look out the window, and she sees this wolf. And she says the weird thing was that it was squatted down in the yard, but it wasn't sitting like a dog. It was sitting like a man. And she's like, my eyes are adjusting to this. And she's like, we had a porch light. And it was on, and it was just on the edge of where the porch light was. But she could see by the light of the moon. And she said it was a full moon and wondered if that had anything to do with it. I don't believe it did, but who knows? She says this thing stood up and walked toward her and said her name. And said it very distinctly, said her name, and said, I need to talk to you. Come outside so we can talk. And she says, who are you? And he says, I'm an angel. Told the mother. And she's like, I sit up and I try shaking Hank awake, and Hank doesn't move. And she's like, I looked to even make sure he was breathing. And then she goes, I don't believe you. And he says, oh, yeah, I'm an angel. I know you're a church-going person, and I know you very well. And even began to talk to her, moving its mouth. This isn't a mind speak thing. It was speaking like a man. Even had an accent. And told her the sermon that their preacher had preached at the church that day, and said, I'm your friend. I heard the preacher preaching. I'm an angel. I know what he said, And she was like, I don't believe you. So then she said, okay, I'll come outside. Brave woman. So she gets off the bed, goes around, tries to wake up her husband again, doesn't wake him up. Then she thinks, I'm out of eye shot of this thing. He can't see me. Then she hears a voice in her head. At that point, it was distinctly not the speaking that she was hearing. And this thing said, leave him alone. Come outside by yourself. So she goes to grab the gun from under the bed, and it said, leave it there. Don't bring it. Then she says she goes to the window, and she was going to yell at it, even at the risk of waking up the 2 children who were already born at that time. And she was like getting ready to scream, and the thing was gone. She looked side to side, didn't see anything. It wasn't on the porch, it wasn't in the yard. So she sat on the other edge of the bed looking out the window for what must have been hours, and then the next thing you know, the sun came up. She sat there watching the sun come up. Husband wakes up all refreshed and whatever. And before she could say anything, she'd already got up and started to go to the kitchen to make breakfast. She was exhausted. He says, puts on his overall straps and says, I had the weirdest dream last night. I dreamed that this wolf came and was talking to you, and I could hear it, but I was trying to wake up, but I couldn't. And it was like I just kept going back to sleep, but I knew I was awake. But then I realized, I'm just having a dream.
Wow.
And then she tells him, she says, Hank, that was not a dream. This creature came up to our yard. And now where they lived, they were like the last house on that street. She said, and the rest of it was open fields. And she said, this was not a dream. I had something happen to me last night. And she says, I saw the wolf you were talking about. And he's like, really? And she says, yes. And it spoke to me. And she told him everything that it said. The next day, they got really concerned because they talked to the neighbors. Saw the neighbors at the market. The neighbors said, last Sunday after church, I had this weird dream that there was this thing that came into my house. And so Doris's mother, the one that heard the talking, says, what happened? They're all standing there at the meat counter. And he says, well, I sleep with my door unlocked. The door was open. So, a small town. This is back in the early 50s in small town Texas. They were lucky to have electricity, and nobody was out committing crimes and just running into people's houses and doing things. And so life was slow, and everybody knew everybody. And they thought, well, there's no psychopaths here. Why do we need to lock our doors? Well, the wolf, whatever it was, he said, came into my house, and I thought I was dreaming. He's like, and in the dream, I get up and I go to the restroom, and I see this werewolf literally walk down the hallway. He said it must have been 8 feet tall. He has a pretty big house, And he said, my kids were asleep. My wife was asleep. It was just me. And so I turned and I told the creature, I said, what are you doing in my house? What do you want? And he goes, and I wasn't afraid. And the thing turned around and says, well, I need to go upstairs. I just wanted to see if your kids were okay. I'm your friend. And he's like, no, I don't think you need to do that. He's like, and then the thing reached out with this big hand and these claws and grabbed his shoulder and told him, it's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. Go back to sleep. He's like, and then I just got really sleepy. He goes, the next thing you know, I opened my eyes and it's daylight. And I thought, wow, what a weird dream. So they compared notes. And she says, this is something. And they were talking in really hushed tones. Because back then, you didn't just go and talk about these things.
Yeah, you'd end up in a padded cell.
What you did was you referred to it as a dream, even if it wasn't a dream. You just said it was a weird dream, and you say that because they had padded cells back then for people who talked about these kind of things. And so she was kind of wondering and kind of feeling this guy out if this was really a dream or he was just saying it was a dream. She knew what had happened to them. And they prefaced it with, this is a dream. But they were extremely disturbed. And so they invited him and the children over after the next Sunday at church. They said, you know what, let's have Sunday dinner together. I'm going to make a pot roast. I'll buy extra. She bought some meat and whatever. Y'all come over. So Sunday dinner comes. They're all sitting there at the table. The kids are running around screaming and playing. They all go outside to do what kids do and just be kids, whatever. She says, we started talking. She's like, my mother began asking him the question as they went into the sitting room. And she says, I need to know, was this a dream that you experienced? And he said, I think it was. And she's like, she's like, you're amongst friends. You can tell me the truth. She's like, because what happened to me, she went out on a limb and she said it wasn't a dream. She's like, what happened to me was very real. She's like, and there was a very real monster outside of our window. She's like, and my husband, he had the dream the night before. And then he turned and said, mine wasn't a dream either. It was real. But the neighbor down the street, he was adamant. He says, he's like, no, mine was definitely a dream. At least it felt like it. He's like, but my wife, well, she can tell you what happened to her. So she kind of breathes, the lady that told me the story, she says, my mother said that the lady sat there looking at her hands and she took a deep breath. And she said, okay, I'll tell you what I know. She's like, I believe that this thing, whatever it is, goes to our church. And she was like, wow, why do you say that? And she's like, because it was quoting from the sermon. She's like, and I also did not have a dream. I was upstairs tucking the kids into bed, and I look down and I see something walking across the yard. I go downstairs and I open the door thinking that there was a person there, and I look, and this thing goes around the corner, and I'm like, whoa. She's like, so I go to the other side of the house. They have one of those wraparound porches. She goes, I go around the other side, and I intercept it to go out the door. She's like, I go out the door, and I look, and there it is. She's like, porch, deck, 4 to 5 feet off the ground. She's like, and this thing was a good head taller than me. She was about 5'6", 5'7", and this thing was still a good head taller than her. So do the math. She's like maybe 9 feet tall. She's like, it was kind of squatted down a little bit, and then it kind of stood up. She said it was massive. It was huge. And she says, the thing began to talk, speak with words. That's one of the things that Doris says. She goes, on your show, you don't mention too many times about them speaking with their mouths. Now, I do have a story from my hometown of these 3 black dogs that jumped out in the middle of the road, and then they stood up and talked. They were speaking Spanish. But those are, I believe, werewolves. You can call them Dogman or whatever. You call them whatever you want. It is what they are. And this community seems to kind of be in denial that can exist. If you listened to the show last night, which I encourage everyone to go back and listen to what we talked about last night with Rob Yox. He'll be back on this coming Saturday to co-host with me. When you stop and you actually delve deep into, you go deep into the reality, the nature of our reality, then you start to think anything's possible, even probable. And what we're doing is we are going round and round circles about what these things are, and we're not listening to these people who are telling us what they think they are. Why? Because they're not researchers. I'm so sick of everybody just calling themselves a researcher.
It is an umbrella term.
Starting a channel, everybody's doing it now. Everybody's got a channel. Every single buddy has a channel, and they all get donations and run out and get stuff and then call themselves researchers. Or they say that they're, what's the word when they go out in the woods? Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
Or they say that they're, whatever. They say whatever you want to say. And this is not attacking anyone in particular. It has nothing to do with anybody. There are real people who go out and do that. There are real researchers. There are people who do good work, and I'm not picking on any single nobody at all. Because there's too many to even count. And there seems to be this they love to take shots at me because I'm supposedly a storyteller. Although, and that's really my own thing, because I don't go out and advertise when we go out and do investigations, so I don't video it and make a big deal out of it. Yeah, exactly, Lead Tracker. Yeah, exactly. Yes, and D. True, doesn't the origins of werewolf predate Dogman? Yes, I believe it does. But, point being, this person starts to tell this story. She says, I'm standing there facing this thing. This is their neighbor. It says, I asked this thing a question. She's like, I was scared to death. She's like, and then I remember my father, who had died years before in World War I. She's like, I was born, years ago, And I remember my dad and his friends talking about a creature that they saw in France that matched this description. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow on the show. Did you tell them about the show? About tomorrow?
Yeah, but I didn't give into too many. I didn't give them very many details.
Take over for a minute. I got to make this.
Okay.
Right back.
Well, duty calls. I really want to. I really want them to hurry up, because I haven't heard the story, and I want them to finish it. This thing reminds me of like if you've ever seen that movie Donnie Darko, that thing, like it'll appear to people and it'll talk to them. That's what it's reminding me of. And like in my head, it's taking place like in this, like in these houses that had like that ugly, like old, like wood paneling, and I don't know. It's hard to describe it, but it's taken me to a really like creepy mental place. It's not often that I'm actually kind of spooked, but I think I'm kind of spooked right now. I'm not gonna lie. What do you think? I mean, like, what do you think this thing is? Like, it's easy to say, oh, it's a demon, but I mean, like, barring that, like, what do you think that, like, what's? I have no idea, but I'm hoping that we find out. Everything all right? What?
We got a situation not good. Anyways, I'll deal with it when I'm done with this. Sorry, folks. Okay, so what happened was she talked about what her dad and his friends saw when they were overseas in France. Very similar creature. She said, in my wildest dreams, I didn't think I would ever see something like this. She's like, what I saw boggled my mind. She's like, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And then she said that at that point in time when it was talking to her, that she began to feel like this, like drowsiness, like she was being lulled to sleep. She's like, and I couldn't stop staring at its eyes. The eyes were yellow. Oh. A really deep yellow, like and she said, I felt like I was going to go unconscious, and as this thing began to move forward, I began to lose my fear, and I felt like I needed to go towards it, and I knew I was fighting with every fiber of my being to get away from it. She's like, and it called me by my name. And when I heard its voice, she's like, I knew the voice. And then she went back, got herself together, started to pray. Began to pray, and she says, Jesus, help me. Free me from the grasp of this thing. And then it says, don't do that, don't do that. And she thought, if this thing is a good thing, why would it be telling me not to do that? Because it kept saying, I'm an angel.
They like to politely suggest that you not do that first too. I kind of noticed that instead of snapping immediately.
Yeah, to spook you.
Yeah.
So then she backs up, and then she bolts inside the house, closes the door, and then whatever it was, banged up against the door. A couple times, She heard a few curse words. She knew it wasn't an angel. She's like, and then I go to church. She's like, and at our church, there was this guy, and his name was Kenneth. He was a deacon. I'm not going to say the name of the church. Can he not do that? So she says, he was a deacon. She's like, and he came up to me, and he says, oh, it's good to see you. Good to see you. We'll call her Katie. He says, Katie, it's good to see you. And she's like, oh, it's good to see you too, Kenneth. And she said he smiled real big. And then he grabbed her arm and he told her something, and she's like, and she's like, his hand was cold and clammy. And he told her, he says, you know, you got to be careful out there. There's a lot of people who are really just wolves in sheep's clothing. And at that point, she pulls away and she tells Doris's parents, she's like, I snatched my arm away. And I was like, ugh. She's like, I knew right then, this isn't correct. What is this guy doing? What is he getting at?
Yeah.
Why would you say that? And she's like, I'll be careful. She's like, and I'll be well armed. Then he laughs and her husband walks up. And he's like, Kenneth, Deacon? He nods his head. He says, well, some guns, some weapons don't work on certain things. What you need is the good book. And he lifted up the Bible. He says, yeah, I put all my faith in the book, not in the weapons of man. Because he's like, the devil often comes as an angel.
Yeah.
He says that. She's like, and then we walked in. She said, so I decided I was going to do something different. You know, the deacons, they take the collection plate and they pass it to everyone. She said, when the collection plate came around to me, she's like, we're a little short today. I don't have a lot of money. She's like, but what I do have, she's like, I have this silver necklace. She was a real thin silver. It was her grandmother's. And she was being honest. She's like, we didn't have a lot of money, but we thought, you know, and back in those days, it wasn't uncommon for somebody to actually give a piece of jewelry or donate a piece of silver or gold. It was just, you know, whatever you had. Sometimes they would even take the preacher or the church, you know, they would offer their help in doing things, or they would give food, things like that. It's just whatever you had to tithe, that's what you gave. And she's like, and I gave my grandmother's necklace, as Brother Kenneth, as they called him, gave the collection plate. She looks right at him, drops the silver necklace into the collection plate. And I thought, oh, okay. Really anxious to see how this works out. She said he got this really troubled look on his face that turned into a grimace and into a frown. He wasn't happy about her offering. So when they go to the back, she politely excuses herself and says, I need to freshen up. I'm going to go to the restroom. And her husband's like, yeah, maybe I'll come with you. So they go to the back. And as they're counting the money, he's standing there with his arms crossed, and he sees them and he gives them this really dour, frowny look on his face, just looks at them, not touching it. And she notices the other deacon saying, hey, did you want me to, count that or something? Are you okay? He says, yeah, I just got a headache. I need to get some air. So he goes outside. She says he walks out the door and looks back at them and just frowns. Then she says, after she goes to the restroom, she's like, I just put some water on my face and stood there for a few minutes. I looked back out and I saw the other deacons counting the collections. She's like, I walk out to the front and I open the door just ever so quietly. She's like, and I look out and I see him sitting there. And she's like, he turns and looks at me And she's like, are you okay? And he goes, oh, I just got a bit of a headache. He's like, sometimes people and their behavior makes me nauseous.
You and me both.
She's like, okay, well, I was just checking on you. He goes, I'm good. He's like, in fact, I'm so touched by your willingness to come and see that if I'm okay, I'd like to visit you guys later in the week. I'll come by and check on you to make sure y'all are doing okay. And she's like, no, we're good. We're going to be very busy all week. He goes, no, I insist. I'll drop by. She's like, yeah, okay. Then he just turns his head, puts his thumb up like that, away from her. And she's like, oh, crap. She's like, I could not stop having nightmares. She's admitting this to Doris's parents. She's like, I could not stop having these bad dreams, bad nightmares. And this guy, he's like a pillar of the community type guy, right? No problems. The only thing is, his wife supposedly left him when he came back from the war. 6 months after he came back, they were fighting all the time, and she just up and disappears. Now, back then, you couldn't just so easily track somebody.
Yeah.
That was a big, well, she moved 3 or 4 counties over, and nobody's going to go look 3 or 4 counties over because, well, there was no internet. Everything was done by paper. You could commit a crime in one county, like Haskell County, go to Crockett County, and, well, nobody knew who you were. Hell, in parts of Texas, they didn't even have electricity until the mid to late 50s.
Yep.
Like the main buildings might, but your house, probably not. So she says this little town, little sleepy town, right? And this guy, he admitted something to his former brother-in-law, who was convinced that he had done something to his sister. He said that when he was overseas, he was in Germany, he wasn't in the Pacific Theater, he was in the European Theater. They were going through the woods. Weird story, right? But I'll get to that part. I don't want to jump ahead. So what happened to Doris's parents, they had 2 really big dogs that they kept out on the farm that was about 10 miles out of town. And so they took the farm dogs, 2 of them, they had 4 of them, they took 2 of them, they brought them into town, kept them at their place. A lot of times people would have a farm and they would have a townhouse and they'd have a farm. Some people lived on their farm, some people didn't. These people didn't. She says, so mother didn't like being out on the farm. She wanted to be in town, and my husband was like, okay, that's fine. We'll just, so they rented a house in town. He's like, my dad loved my mother. Would do anything for her. But she says, I don't feel safe. So he goes and gets the dogs, brings them in, and they were mean animals. And they kept them in the yard, and she's like, these dogs got loose. They could be a real problem. One day they were barking. This is Doris's parents, the original people that I talked about in the story that saw the thing in the window and it talked to them. And they look, and there's Deacon Kenneth standing at the gate, and he's like, oh my goodness, holding his Bible. I want to get your dogs. They're just going crazy. She's like, yes, let me get a sweater on and I'll go get them. She's like, what do we do? And, well, her husband was like, well, let's let him in. See what he wants. When they go get some clothes and, proper attire to go and let this guy in, the dog started to yelp. Next thing you know, he's on the porch, and the dogs are nowhere to be found. They open the door, and they're like, where are our dogs? And he goes, oh, I don't know. Started petting them, and then they saw something, and they just took off around the other side of the house. He's like, dogs are strange. You never know what they'll catch their attention. And he's like, well, not our dogs. They don't really act like that. And he's like, do you mind if I come in? And he goes, and at that moment, he said he felt something come over him. And Doris said she felt like that their parents thought it was the Holy Spirit talking to them and told them, do not let this man in your house. Do not give him permission to come inside of this house. Do not do it. In the name of Jesus, do not do it. And so he said her dad had a habit of just blurting things out. You know, he had severe PTSD. He said, in the name of Jesus, I can't let you do that. And he says he dropped his Bible and backed up off the steps and was like, whoa, you don't need to attack me.
Why would the name of Jesus attack you?
And then the wife, yeah, exactly, stepped up and goes, well, Brother Kenneth, nobody's attacking you. He goes, oh, you're screaming. You're screaming about the Holy Spirit and Jesus. Why? And she's like, well, that's odd because nobody said anything about the Holy Spirit. He's like, my husband, you know, he's got some issues. And she tried to push him, go back inside, you know, whatever. And he's like, no, I'm not going anywhere, and you're not coming in my house. So he goes, well, can I retrieve my Bible? And she says, sure. So she goes down to pick up the Bible. When she goes to pick up the Bible, a bunch of papers fall out that had nothing to do with the Bible. She's like, there were pictures in there, and there were articles and all kinds of weird this and that had zero to do with the Word of God. And they were looked down, and they were like, what an odd Bible you have. And he's like, oh, I must have grabbed the wrong one. He goes, I keep two. I have one that's my actual Bible, and then one that I just use to hide important papers in, you know, in case somebody breaks in. Big story. And he was like, well, that's odd. And he goes, and where are my dogs? He's like, well, like I said, they're somewhere around here. Smiling, always smiling real big. A very tall man, tall. About 6'5". They're on the porch, and he's almost, you know, as tall as him. This isn't the 4-foot porch of the neighbors that, you know, we were talking about earlier. So whenever they talked to this guy, they said sometimes when he would get what appeared to be uncomfortable or angry, his eyes would take on this sort of yellowish hue. And I thought that was interesting. Of course, he's at the church. Another thing, too, whenever the preacher would start talking and getting real fervent and talking about Christ and the Holy Spirit, he always, for some reason, and they started noticing this, would get up and walk out and go to the front of the church. He wouldn't stay there. He'd always be fidgeting and getting up and leaving. They said another thing that was really odd was one time they had one of these church dinners. You know, they have the after church, they call it the fellowship dinner.
Yeah.
They watched him, this is weird, eat raw chicken and raw meat, raw steak. He said that when he was overseas, there wasn't food. And sometimes he would just, you know, raid the German people's, you know, or wherever he was at, France, Germany. He would just take what he could get, killing and eating raw meat, whatever he could get. At the VFW, though, I remember hearing when I was a kid that they would have to kill and eat people's pigs and cows, even horses sometimes, chickens, whatever they could. But they would always cook it. There wasn't nobody eating it raw.
Yeah.
So they thought, Kenneth, you're going to get sick eating that raw meat. And he says, no, my stomach's adjusted to it. I have a taste for it now. It's from being overseas. Well, there were several other people that were overseas too, Germany and in the Japanese theater, and they were like...
That's not like a common thing that just happens.
Funny because we didn't develop that. Kind of odd, don't you think? I think Kenneth had a lot of weird, I don't know, what would you say, predilections that most people don't have. And so then they had a question for him. They said, what brings you to our house today? He says, well, it just seems like everybody's acting strange and, just some rumors going around. There was some kind of monster going to people's houses, and I wanted to pray with you guys. He goes, and I'm sorry I didn't bring my Bible, but if you have your Bible, just let me in. We can pray, and maybe I can help you. But at that point, they were like, no, we don't need your help. We need you to leave. Then he goes inside, Doris's dad, this is before she was born. He goes back inside the house. And he says to his wife, he says, we're going to go visit the preacher. So he goes, when? He goes, now. So they go, and the neighbor girl, they go and they get her. I don't think salmonella really mattered to Kenneth, honestly. But anyway, they go and they get the neighbor girl and say, can you watch the house, the kids, for an hour or two? We got to make a trip. And told her dad, hey, what had happened and that there was a man. They didn't say who it was. They said there was a man and they didn't trust him and blah, blah, blah. So they walked 2 blocks down, go to the preacher's house, not far, knock on the door. And they said, we need to talk to you about Kenneth. He's like, come on in, yes. What do you know about this guy? It's like, there was much pleasantries. They just started talking, and they were like, he just came to our house with a Bible that was filled with, don't even want to talk about what all it was filled with. Supposedly important papers, but some of it was lewd content that was in the cover of a Bible. And the pages were cut like they were a Bible. Told them the whole story from beginning to end. The preacher looked concerned, and he says, he goes, ever since Kenneth came back from overseas, he's been different. He goes, I've known him since we were children. Very good, God-fearing guy. Known him since he was a child. The preacher's older than him, He's like, I knew his parents. He's like, I was there when he was born. He was, always a good kid. Never had any problems with him. He's like, and now he seems different. And somebody has been skimming money. He's like, I know, because I have 2 or 3 different deacons. They're all watching each other. And Kenneth seems to be the odd man out because his plate always seems to come up short. They've seen larger denomination bills, and, well, they're just not there. So there's a problem. He goes, but I've been meaning to confront him. But to think that he's this creature that people have been seeing, well, that just seems a little hard to swallow. So about a week goes by, and there's a guy that's out fishing the Lake Stamford. Been there as a kid. I know exactly where it's at, and I got a story from that region. Story from a guy and I did this on the other show that I went on years ago. Retold his encounter. Not going to lie, that was a hard interview. The guy was watching NASCAR the whole time and kept screaming. But, and get this, this is really weird. The person that told me this story heard that story, that encounter on that show, and reached out to me. This guy was fishing with his son, and they see this creature on the other side of the lake, which wasn't like way like hundreds of yards, and it was about 40 yards. And it starts walking around the other side to where they're at, and then it gets down on all fours and begins to run toward him, and he's like, son, let's go to the truck. And his son just kind of starts to walk. He goes, no, run, and he grabs his arm, and they start to run. They get in their truck, and this thing gets right up on the truck. I said it looked like a bear, but it was distinctly wolf-like. And they drive away, and this thing chases them, trying to get into the back of the truck, getting a hold of it, and eventually let go, gave up, and ran into the woods. After they heard this story, they're at the local diner, and this guy's telling them, he's telling the cook, Billy, one of the cousins of, which would have been Doris' dad's first cousin, went by the house and said, hey, this guy Pete saw this thing. I don't know. There's also a precedent for this thing. It's called the Haskell Rascal. And all over Haskell County, people claim to see it. When I was a kid, it was talked about like, oh, the Haskell Rascal. Get you. What is it? A Bigfoot, a Dogman? Lyle Blackburn's covered it. We've talked about it extensively, me, him, and Ken Gerhardt. Sometimes they say it looks cat-like. Sometimes it's bear-like, wolf-like. What is it? When I was a kid, you were told, hey, don't be out after dark because the rascal will get you. Oh, it stalks the land from Mundy, that's a small town north of Houston, of Haskell, all the way to Abilene. You never know where it'll show up. There were Mexican migrants that would come to work. They'd go work at the cotton gin. They saw it. Ay, cadejo. The hombre lobo. The hombre lobo, whatever. Hungry wolf. Wolf man. They see it. It's scary. What is it? Terrified. They'd be terrified. Wouldn't go to work some days. I remember them calling my dad in to work extra hours because they were scared of going into work. Better believe it. So, I'm at camp one time with the Methodist church, which we didn't go to. We went to the Baptist church. They were telling us stories. And of course, the Haskell Rascal came up. Later on that night, some kids claimed to have seen something up in a tree. I didn't. And they screamed and freaked out, and this thing was seen by several children running away. My parents could attest to that. In fact, Anthony, we talked about it with my mother. Mm-hmm. And the other kids they saw it. Looked like a Bigfoot with a muzzle. So this guy that I interviewed years ago, he said that on the side of this thing's face, you could see its teeth, like it was like part of its cheek was missing. It was, if you go back and listen to that interview years ago, I did. Can't even tell you which episode it was. But I remember talking to him, and he says, there were stories of this thing when I was a kid. I said, yeah, I know. I remember when I was a kid, too. But now, thanks to Doris, I can tell you, I think I know what happened. So one day, one of the neighbors that lived on the edge of town had the same thing happen. This guy's name was Cliff. Cliff was a different animal. Cliff was known as the town drunk. He was a sinner through and through. Did not go to church and made no bones about it and said he was going to hell and bragged about it all the time. And one day, Cliff was sitting there in his house listening to the radio, and he hears a scratching at one of his windows. Thinks it's a raccoon because there was some stuff going on. Walks in to the dining room, which was like right there in the dining room. It was like a den led in the dining room, very nasty, dingy house. His wife had died, and he just turned to the bottle. And that's sometimes people do things like that. It's his problem, not ours. He goes into the dining room where the scratching is coming from, and he sees something out of his wildest nightmares. It looks like a werewolf, and it's partway in his house. It's climbing into his house. It's not asking for permission. It's going in his house. He grabs an axe. It's right there in the hallway, And according to what he said, he swung and he hit it on the side of the face 3 times. Bam, bam, bam. Knocked out one of its teeth. The thing turned and growled and snapped at him and swung at him. He said it looked like a bear mixed with a gorilla mixed with a wolf. Cliff went to town on this thing. And the thing fell back out of the window onto the ground outside. He looks over at his dog. His dog is dead. So Cliff was not effing around, as we say. Cliff went outside with a loaded shotgun, threw the axe on the ground, and was walking over to finish this thing off. When he goes to point it, this thing moved so quick and was up on top of him and took the gun, smacked him, knocked him down, threw the gun. It like went flying out into the street. And at this point, Cliff began to scream at the top of his lungs. A couple of his neighbors came out, and they were like, what the heck? This wasn't that late. It's like 9 o'clock at night. He turns and looks, and the thing is gone. 2 weeks from that point, Doris says, her mother said, she goes, at that point, she had gotten pregnant with me. She just found out that she was pregnant. Yeah, JoJo, probably. So what ends up happening? This creature, whatever, wasn't seen again. But neither was Kenneth. Except one time, he had all his stuff packed up and was heading out of town, and the sheriff pulls up next to him and says, are you leaving? And he said his face was all bandaged up. He says, yeah. He goes, I hurt myself. He's like, I've had nothing but bad luck in this town since I came back from the war. I think I'm going to head on. I'm going to go to greener pastures. And oddly enough, the sheriff, he says, I didn't think nothing of it. I told him, well, happy hunting. And he goes, thanks. He said he could barely talk. And he drove off. Strange. Weird. But I think I know the origin of what this is. And if this is the truth, which I don't know 100%, but this is what I believe. And I'm going to tell you this. His friend Randy told a really strange story to what would essentially be Doris' second cousin. That was her dad's first cousin. He said, he told me when he came back from the war, he said, we were working out. You know, jogging, working out back then. They said we were jogging, you know, doing some push-ups, and I noticed this huge scar on his left shoulder. He's like, and I asked him, I said, what the heck is that? And he says, oh. He goes, one night, I got separated from my unit, me and 2 other guys. He's like, you would never believe me if I told you what happened to us. He said, try me. He was in the war too, different unit, different place. He got wounded in Salerno. He said, I had to come back. He says, we were in France. The Germans had us pinned down in this one spot, and we were fighting in this one town. It was really brutal. I don't think they were pinned down or anything. I think they were hiding because they were cowards. That's my opinion. He goes, and the Germans were really giving us the business, and we outnumbered them 10-1, but they were fighting like hell, and it was the SS unit there, and 2 nests. And G-42s were going fast and furious, and they rolled out a 20 mil. He's like, and I watched people fall apart like gingerbread men dropped in milk. Just dissolve. He's like, so we took refuge in this barn till we could get back with the rest of our unit. He's like, I heard the mortars going off left and right. I heard planes overhead. He goes, I just hunkered down. He's like, and then I hear the barn door open up, and I hear a guy in French speaking. And he spoke in the best English he could, he says, "Is anyone in here? If you are in my barn, you need to leave. I don't want the Germans coming in here. Please." He said, my one friend spoke a little bit of French. He says, "Parlez-vous français?" Yes. He says, "Please just let us stay for the night." And then the farmer says, "There's a very bad thing around here. Someone who has a sickness will come for you. Don't stay here." And he said, "What is this sickness?" And he said, "The loup-garou." And he thought it was some kind of disease. And he told his friend, he said, "I thought it was a disease. I didn't know what it was." He says, "No, we're good." He's like, "I know I had dropped my weapon. I picked up a German grease gun and I pointed at him and I said, 'You know what? Go to hell.'" He's like, "And you know," he goes, "this idiot gets pushy, starts yelling and making a scene." He goes, "So you know what I did?" He goes, "I opened up on him." And his friend, who was Doris's dad's, who was Hank's first cousin, was in shock. He says, "You shot and killed that guy?" He said, "Yes." He's like, he was being loud, and he was going to give away our position, and I didn't need the Germans coming in there and shooting us. So I just pop. So I went and I closed the barn door. And I went and I laid down in the loft. He goes, and then about an hour later, I'm finally starting to get some sleep. I hear a growling noise that sounded like a gurgling, growling. He goes, and then I hear a crack and a pop. He's like, and I look over, and there is this thing, and it has literally got my friend's leg still attached to his body and his mouth. And I look over, and my friend's head was turned around. He goes, and this thing had clothes on. This was not what we would call a Dogman. No. He's like, and that's when I learned what the loup-garou was. He's like, and I recognized the clothes. He's like, I remember it was like a light blue shirt hanging off of this dude. He's like, and I recognized him. That was the teenage kid that was helping that farmer earlier, which I can only assume was his son. He goes, and I'm sure that he was more than a little PO'd, that his dad was laying there, lifeless at the front of the barn. I look around, and my other friend, he's gone. He's nowhere to be found. I don't know where he went, what happened to him. I never saw him again. He goes, but I got up, and I jumped off of the top of that loft and landed on some hay. It's not as soft as you think it would be. He goes, and I rolled. I thought I twisted my ankle, and there was so much pain. I thought, I twisted my ankle, thought it was broken, but I got up. And my friend was supposed to take the first watch, and he had the gun laying next to him, so I can only imagine he thought he was the one that had done it. He's like, this guy jumps off of, he calls him a man, like this man jumps off of the loft. He's like, I get up and I get my bearings and I run out into the darkness. This thing runs and jumps on the back of me, bites down on me. He goes, winced in pain. Horrible scar on this guy's shoulder and back. He's like, I get loose, and I crawl. He's like, and then I hear like 20, 30 people just screaming and yelling in English, and I was like, thank God, and I heard gunfire, and then I saw this thing fall to the ground. I get up and I turn and I look, And it had gotten up and ran off into the darkness. There was a different unit. But they walked up and they were like, he's like, I'm American. And they were like, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right. He's like, I've been wounded. They look and they see this horrible, just, you know, they were like, what was that? Who was that? Like only one or two of them got a good look at it. And one of them said, dude, it looked like a freaking werewolf. And the other one was like, I thought it was a bear with human clothes. What was that? And they were like, he's like, I don't know. It was these people. He's like, the Germans came and they killed this guy. And then this guy came out and thought I did it. You know, he made up a story, you know. He said, oh, man, we got to get you to the nearest medic. And so then what ends up happening, this guy gets on the next bus to Happy Town. Gets to the tent, they're like, oh, got to discharge this guy. His shoulder's like not even in place. He's, you know, screwed. He's like, I spent 3 days convalescing in France. He goes, and they were amazed at how rapidly I healed. But I played it off. I didn't want to go back to war. I told him, I said, I'm still in a lot of pain. I don't think I can make it. And they're like, yeah, your shoulder's pretty much ruined. So he said they gave me a test to see how strong I was, if I could hold a gun, a grenade, a glass of water, a sandwich. And he was like, oh, laughing about it to his friend. He goes, yeah, I just told him, nah, man, I can't do none of that. My shoulder's screwed. He goes, but I was lying. And I was shocked because I didn't feel anything. The pain was gone. I never felt so alive in my life. He goes, they bought it hook, line, and sinker. And I came back to the States. I come back. My girlfriend was with another guy. My mother had passed away. I was pissed. And he's like, so I knew that I was different. I knew that something had changed in me, but I wasn't real sure what. He goes, and I felt like I could hear, see, and smell things that I had never heard, smelled, or seen before. Things I'd never noticed before. He's like, and I am completely different. He said, and he proceeded to do 1,000 push-ups right in front of his friend. His friend was in shock. He showed him another neat little trick, too. He said he went over to the back of his car and lifted it up. And he says, how is this possible? How are you able to do this? He says, I don't know. I just consider it a gift from the Luguru. And he said as the days went by, he goes, I quit talking to him. He was always out at night. He would never be in his house. And then all these weird events happened, and then he was gone. Or was he? What was it that those guys saw at the lake that day? 30 some odd years later, 40 years later, I guess it was 92 or something like that. What was it? Was it Kenneth? Was that his real name? I don't even know. It's what they called him. So you tell me, you be the judge. This is what was told to me. What do I believe? I have no way to know. I just know that I believe that anything is possible. At this point, I gotta say, anything is possible. What do you guys think?
I mean, it's always easier to live that way when you're able to just be open to anything. You're able to see stories like this where they're honestly, a little terrifying, a really good story, but it's like really enthralling, but also like kind of like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine like dealing with something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. I gotta give that one time to sink in because I don't know what. I mean, like from start to finish, it was just so disturbing. Oh, hang on. You know what? Okay, your mic was off. My bad. Well, you mumble anyway. I mean, it's not like it doesn't make much of a difference to turn your mic on.
See, I swear, Anthony's doing this on purpose because he knows how valuable my insights are.
It's too close to your face.
Well, it doesn't matter anyway. It was off.
Yeah, I wonder where else that guy went afterwards.
Well, I mean, it depends. Like,
It'd be pretty creepy to like put this story out there, and then like a week goes by, and we get a message from someone who like dealt with the same guy afterwards, in whatever other town that he went to.
Or you just get like a random message from like it just says, "I'm still around."
I don't know. He'd be dead. Well,
no.
Would he be though? No, I don't know if he'd be dead.
You're still seeing something around. I mean, is it him or is it something else?
I mean, because I wonder if that gives you a prolonged lifespan, like whatever happened to him.
It seems like, I mean, I would assume so.
I think it depends.
Like you probably wouldn't live forever like a vampire, but your aging would probably be slowed down or something, like you'd have an abnormally long natural life.
Yeah, you definitely would. I think your aging would slow for sure.
I wonder if the offset is that your mental goes. Is that you slowly start losing, like, your faculties, basically. You kind of just start turning more and more animalistic. Feral. Yeah, feral.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's amazing, though, what happens when people... There was a guy on the internet that was talking about having become a vampire. He was an older guy. He was in a church. Remember that?
Yeah.
And he was talking about werewolves and vampires and how they're real. He's an old dude. And he said that one of the things that happens when you change into these beings, like when you become a human version of them, there's just like this level of malevolence that is like accelerated, but then there's this arrogance that's attached to it too, to where they feel like nothing can happen to them. Nothing can hurt them. They're like serial killers. Like they're so smart.
So arrogant.
Nobody will catch me.
Yeah, they see themselves as like apex species.
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
It's like it becomes like a superiority complex where they literally see themselves as higher. Something like more involved.
Yeah.
There's a trade-off for everything, though.
So that story was one that I had been wanting to tell, and that's why I was like, you know what? I have to get on and do the Sunday show on Monday because of that story there in particular. Oh, no donations? Oh, guess I'm not getting a new boat. Isn't that what Dusher said I was going to do? Got me a new boat. And apparently I talk that way too, according to Dusher. Yeah.
If that guy was able to manifest like in people's dreams and physically, that's a really powerful whatever.
No, I don't think. I think he was making them. It was feeling like a dream. I don't think any of that was.
Well, no, I mean, but like to appear to them like in that when they're in that kind of dreamlike state. I guess like where they're out of their body, kind of. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly, Joanne. I got to go buy another ring. And don't worry, Miguel. I won't come after you. He says he paid his dues, his cult fees. Thank you. A lot of you haven't paid your cult fees, though. I mean, I'm telling you. I'm up here slaving away under a hot microphone, which takes absolutely no effort, according to Dusher.
Oh, that's because what he does takes no effort.
Yeah, what he does is just attack people.
I mean, it takes like it takes a lot of free time, as in like you don't work, and then like psychosis, mental illness. It takes a lot of those two things, which apparently he has in abundance.
Yeah.
Vallejo says that's something I've always wondered about too. Can the curse be passed on? I don't know.
I wonder if it's something closer to like a possession, but like it's not like an immediate thing.
Yeah, what if it
like,
slowly eats into you?
Yeah, I mean, like eventually, on some level, like you end up just giving it permission because it's denigrating your very essence, you know, day by day, and you know, like, and what if it's just like an agonizing thing? Like it starts out feeling great just to get your guard down and lull you into a false sense of security. You know, like the guy said, I feel so alive. You know, he was so strong, but
And
eventually
showing off too.
yeah, but eventually it becomes something to where you're like, it's like you're trapped in your own body in this anguish that will not end until you die. And so eventually you just kind of give that, whatever that is, permission to step in and then treat your body as a host, and you move on.
Yeah, you're right. A couple people in the audience here. D. True says, do you think lion prides are why we don't hear about Dogman in Africa? No. I don't think they would really care much about lions. I don't think that they would really even be an issue for them. We're dealing with a being that's not an animal. That's the thing that people in this Dogman community, or whatever you want to call it, that's what they're not understanding, is that this is not an animal, what we're dealing with. Now, could there be a Dogman type creature that's always like that? Yeah. Do they bite people and turn them into something else? I have no idea. Also, somebody said that it was a gypsy curse from the Black Forest. No, this happened in France. And I don't know exactly what part. You know, the person that gave me the story couldn't give me all the details. And I did talk to her, and I did actually get to talk to her dad's cousin. Her parents are both deceased, unfortunately, and she had an uncle that knew a lot about it too, and he was gone. But he was the one that gave her the information about the cop, who was also deceased. Now, you got to remember this happened in the 50s. But I think she's correct. I think it ties into what happened, the story of the creature. Is that one now? Now, I'm sorry, folks. Even though I wrote it, I cannot remember if that is in my book or not. I think that one is in my book. Is in the Haskell Rascal. I'm pretty sure. If you go and you do we have a copy of the book in here somewhere?
Yeah, of course you do.
I'm sure. Well, yeah, we got about 1,000 in there. But yeah, sure. And we can maybe look. Brianna, a little something. Thank you for that. A little goes a long ways. We appreciate it. Everybody that's donated. I have to tell you something, folks. I need prayer for a couple different people. One of our listeners, she has uterine cancer, and I need to tell you, please pray for her. I'm going to say the name of her. I had permission to say her name. Gloria Hayes. Thank you for being a listener, Gloria. I'm sure you're in the audience. If you are, say hi, whatever. If not, don't worry about it. But she has been diagnosed with uterine cancer. She sent me a picture of her wearing her pink Paranormal Roundtable hoodie. If Gloria, if it's okay with you, if you're listening, give me permission, I'll show the picture of you. But if not, don't worry, I understand. If you're shy or whatever. Also, my friend Michael Spraw, who helped donate money to get the conference done, he helped immensely. He's been diagnosed with bladder cancer. And I've decided that, you know, even though he gave us a donation as a gift, I want to pay him back. And so I'm going to do that. So whatever we get tonight in the chat is going to be part of what I give him back. He'll say no, but I'll bypass him and go to his wife and make sure that she gets the money, because he can use it right now. So anything that we get donated, this whatever in this chat. And if you want to donate tomorrow during the show that we have going, what is it? The
hour-long podcast.
The hour-long podcast. That's probably going to just go there too, and probably will the Wednesday show too. And I'm just going to Can't pay him back all of it at once, but I'm going to pay him back. Even though he said he doesn't want it, I'm going to use the donations to do that.
He's been very, very gracious.
Very
with
nice,
us.
wonderful guy. I mean, just love talking to him. And I really wanted to see the Lions win. And I wanted to see them go on to the Super Bowl and win it because he's a Lions fan. And
Yeah, I want to see the Lions.
may not
win
have.
too.
Can you turn the light on just for a second? I'm just going to be a little bit bright in here.
Thank you for that so very much, Liberty.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate that because I do feel it in my heart that I need to give him the money back. He keeps telling me not to, but it's just the way it is. And just for the naysayers, if need be, I can have him say, yes, he gave me the money back. Just that way people can't lie and try to say things about me and say that we didn't give it to him because that's, even if I was broke, which I'm not, but if I was, I would still do that because that's the way we are. We all are that way as a family.
It's the way to be.
It's the way to be. You'll always get it back. And no matter what you do good for somebody, it'll always come back to you. And it'll come back to you in spades. And when you do bad and ill on people, that will come back to you too.
I mean, I believe that's why we're so blessed.
Well, okay, it says here, okay, so this chapter right here.
It's chapter 2.
Chapter
More
2.
terrifying tales.
More terrifying
It's
tales.
the very first story.
Yeah. So the guy that had the encounter, name was Wade. Wade and his buddy were fishing, blah, 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 blah. And then that shows downtown Haskell, which is the town over from Anson. There's Haskell, Stamford, and Anson, and then Abilene. And this is the domain of this creature. And like I said, my colleagues, 3 of them, have also explored this. I believe David Weatherly, and I believe that Ken Gerhard and Lyle Blackburn. We've all discussed it and what it is and what it could be. And all of us have interviewed multiple people from those areas. Different conclusions. Not everybody's going to have the same opinion, but we've heard all kinds of weird stories about it. Somebody says, anyone remember that TV show Werewolf? Yes, D-Truth, I do. I do remember that show. Kind of like the Incredible Hulk, but he was cursed, right? But he would go around and help people as a werewolf. Yeah, right? Pretty cool, pretty cool. Yeah, Debbie Cawthorn says, I wonder if the French dude bit his son or if a werewolfism runs in the family. My thought would be that he was out in the woods somewhere and something attacked him. I mean,
it seemed more like he was.
Jebediah, you know what?
I was going to say, it seemed more like he was protecting his son, where he was like.
Well, he was protecting them from his son.
Well, yeah,
he was left instead of killing him. Obviously, Ken is a sociopath.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he deserved what he got.
Yeah, he deserved what you got,
but I think he was more like, I don't want to hurt my son, but I also don't want to hurt these people, so just stay away.
Mm-hmm. Brianna, you and I both. I got 2 people now that I'm waiting to find out if they have cancer, and it's. Well, thank you, Liberty, for the donation. That was incredible. Michael Spra is a very nice guy. So I want to do right by him. He helped us out with the conference, and now he's in need of money for his medical and stuff. And I don't want his wife can't work because she's got to take care of him. So I don't want him to pass away and his family go into debt because of his medical. Oh, there's so much going on in the world, but you got to be tough. You got to. That's one of the things I respect about Barton Nutley. And Barton, I know he's not going to tell you this, but when we first started talking and hanging out and stuff, Barton worked all the time. He had a pretty good job. He has his own business. And he wasn't doing all this. He didn't have time, And one of the things he always talked about was wanting to help people. He always wanted to help people. He was like, I need to make money so I can help people, help this person, that person, and whatever. I know he helped the Henderson children when Johnny passed. We both did, to help with the burial and things like that. And that's not, I'm not talking about it because, oh, I'm a good guy. No, but I'm saying that, you know, it's what's right. Doing what's right when you have, even if you feel like, hey, man, I'm putting myself out, God will take care of you, believe me. So when it comes to helping your fellow man, helping your neighbors and those that need it, do it. Do what you got to do. If you have it, you know, give it. If it's a person that's a hardworking person and they hit hard times or something, you know, and they're not scamming, you think they really need it, and you can afford it, and it's up to you getting a vacation or a new boat, goofball said. You could help the person that's in need, then do that. Help that person.
You know, there's nothing better than helping people because of the peace of mind that comes from it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, there's nothing that you have, that you own, that you can't get again. But, you know, that's something that you will lose if you don't assist people, is knowing that they're okay, that, you know, that they're taken care of. And you don't, like Wolf said, have to put yourself out, but, you know, you should try to live in a way that benefits as many people as you can, because I think it's just a healthier way to live, besides, you know, the spiritual aspect of it. Just, I think, you know, mentally, I think doing that, you'll slowly start feeling just better about yourself, and I think, you know, it'll make you just feel happier.
Mm-hmm. Mark Beazle, dog wormer. Yeah, I've heard different stuff. Because cancer can be caused by parasites, true, or viruses or bacteria. That's a true thing. So, what do you guys think of the story? Do you believe these people are being honest? Maybe they're exaggerating, or could it be possible? I mean, I know it's possible, but I think there's a lot more of these stories out there. And when people give these stories of this Dogman encounters, some of these people that fill these reports, in particular a very large channel that does this, so there's a couple of them, they pick and choose what they want, and they'll even tell the person to tell it a certain way, you know.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
It's so pointless.
And they've shaped the opinions of people in this community and what people think this is. And the reason that they're doing that is because they created a narrative, and now they got to stick with it. And the reason that they want that narrative is because when they first started doing this, they didn't want to be thought of as a bunch of kooks talking about werewolves. So these people, what they did was they made up a narrative that this is a flesh and blood creature that doesn't do anything but run around on its hind legs and act goofy or whatever. And so that's what's worked and that's what's stuck. But people like me and my friend Barton and several other people like Bad Imsh and the various other channels that have been coming across these stories, we're not dodging them anymore. I never did. But others were kind of dodging them, and everybody's starting to come out and say, hey, something's not right here. You know, we can't keep dismissing these stories. And this woman that gave me this story, you know, I got to say, she tried giving this story and telling someone else this, and they just were not having it. She couldn't even get on their show to tell the second hand herself. They wouldn't let her do it. And she asked me, and she said that someone sent her to me, a guy named Joel. And I appreciate that, Joel. I don't know you, but I appreciate you sending her my way so that she could get that story out there and get it off her chest. There's a couple, 3 others that are out there too. One, I'm waiting on the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. And then another one that I'm waiting to get the story and, you know, and get it told to me in its entirety. And still there's another one that's already been done. And I'm just waiting to tell it. And I think what ends up happening is these people, they come against like opposition to getting their story out there, because what's funny about the Dogman community, let's just call it that for a minute, if that's even what they want to call themselves. What is so funny about it is they think that they can make themselves look a certain way and that the Bigfoot people are going to accept them and just look at them as their happy tree friend brothers, or they think that, you think the douchers of the world are just going to be okay with you. No, they're not. Just same thing with this other guy who's on the tall ones. And I'm not going to say his name, and I'm not talking ill of the guy, at least not right now. But what he said was, well, I don't believe in Dogman. He just flat out told me that, which I thought was quite rude. But I'm going to tell you something. I don't give a crap what you believe or what you don't. He's just another one that goes out and gets on to people, whatever. And some of the people probably had it coming, but not all of them. In particular, my friend Melba Ketchum, who he decided to sandbag. But like I said, I'm not after you right now. I'm sure your guys will have some kind of response because you guys have nothing other than attacking people. Claim that they're doing research, but you're really not. You back each other's narcissistic, disgusting behavior. I know that. And, so what ends up happening is this entire industry has grown up around attacking those who tell their stories. And then they love to say, oh, you're a storyteller. Oh, I'm much more than that, boy. Believe me, if you only knew the things I could teach you. Because what you don't know could fill the Library of Alexander. But I guess you're not interested in learning, are you, bearded lady? And he says, oh, this has been fun today when Clough was done. Oh, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every minute of it. And my hand to God, I didn't tell him what to say, what to do, or how to do it, whatever. The only thing he said was, I need a video of you lifting the weights. And I gave him that. Didn't even really know what it was about. And then Nellie, who's not been feeling well, please pray for my wife. She wakes up and she says, hey, Clough made the video or something like that. She said something like that. And I went and I looked. And it was on there. And there was only like 40 people in there, but it was still fun. What's his channel called? I don't even know the name of it.
Chris Paranormal.
No, he changed it recently.
It was never Chris Paranormal. It's Chris Paranormal. Come on, Tony. Get your head out of your ass for once, man. You mumbler. What did you say?
No.
You mumble? I'm being abusive, Tony, okay? You're supposed to
Clough
tell her.
Paranormal, I meant.
You're supposed to tell everybody how abusive I am.
I was looking up the channel.
Point. Oh, and then one of them said I made y'all sleep out with the merchandise at the conference.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's all Vulture's bullshit right there. And by the way, Mrs. Cat, I'm not the only one that calls him Vulture. Everybody's calling him that now. And she's like, but Vultures can be mean. No doubt he's mean. I believe he's a mean bastard. I think you are too. And I have no idea what this guy's talking about. He was in Cat's chat. Cat doesn't have a chat. She bounces around other people's chats like she used to with dudes. So, there's that. Don't give a crap. So trying to figure out where. Yeah, the tall ones, I had a very cordial conversation with him one day, but then he got all bent out of shape about the Struford thing after that dude attacked my wife. And I told him, I said, I don't give a damn who's friends with you or who's friends with who. I don't care if it's loop-de-loo.
Yeah, that was no excuse for how they treated Nellie.
No excuse at all. And then you want to come to me and tell me that he's an unforgiving guy or he's not or he holds grudges or some crap. And I'm like, I don't give a crap what he holds.
So what?
And I don't care about their group. What's it called? The nonsense group of the
critical.
critical. Don't even say the whole name. Don't even critical crap of the thinking of the blah blah blah. Where some of them believe in Bigfoot and they suck up to the supposed skeptics who are actual cynics. All of you can all jump, get in a vehicle, and drive off a cliff. That's what I think of all of you. You heard it. Shots fired. I don't care. Nothing you can do hurts me, penetrates me, or does anything. One of the Filthy Five says, he sits down there in Austin like in a fortress of solitude. Absolutely. Zen, baby. And I don't care because none of you are going to come do anything to me at all. You know why? Because you know better. Because you're scared. You're a bunch of chickens. By the same token, I'm not going up there to mess with you. And be glad. And if I did, you wouldn't even know it was me. So, whatever. There's that. But I'm not that way. I don't use my ability to hurt people. So, keep it up. Stupid is as stupid does. I don't give a damn if the whole world jumps on me. The whole world could jump on me. All I need is one thing, and that's God. And yes, I will walk the earth naked, with nothing, owning nothing, and everyone despises me, and as long as I have Christ, that's all I need. Because he said I'm the only way to the Father, and my goal is to get back to my Father. I don't care what the rest of you think or say or do. You give money, you don't give money, I don't care. You don't like me, you say you do, you say you don't. And thanks for the nice words, but I'm not going to lose sleep if you don't. Just like, what's his name, whoever that was earlier, I told him, I said, I don't care. You want to leave the chat until I'm done eating or whatever the hell you freaking, I don't care. In fact, ban him from the chat. I don't care. You're not paying my bills. I don't see you do anything. You're not a Patreon member, so whatever. Kick him out. I don't want him ever coming back. Davy Jones Locker. Go to the other channels and tell them what a rude, mean person I am, but I'm not going to take your crap. I don't have to. I don't need it.
Hey, if you can even watch half of what they have, if the other half ain't behind a paywall, because what we do is free. That's a difference.
And then they have the nerve to complain. You don't have that right. So this lady says, millennials don't want to work. And she's like, I think you have us confused with Gen Z. Millennials are 30 to 40 years old. I don't know any that don't work. I know a ton of them that don't work. I know some right now that are trying to get out of work and are calling in sick every day. So no, I'm not confused. By that point, you think that they wouldn't live with their parents, and they always have a bunch of excuses of why they live with their parents. I don't give a crap what your excuses are. You do it. You live with your parents. Close channels, paranormal drama and things. There you go. Go check it out. Go look at what he said about the doucher. A guy who attacked me without any provocation whatsoever because he's jealous. That's all it is. He's a jealous little troll who opened up on me and said all kinds of crap because he doesn't believe what I tell or what I say, and then embarrassed himself by making a video saying that I couldn't lift what I did. I don't see the video, and I had already dropped it. Dumbass. And then you wonder why people think you're an idiot. See, they want notoriety. You want to be known and you want exposure. Well, I'll give it to you. It's not going to be the way you want because everybody's going to look at you as the laughing stock that you are. Beady-eyed little trolls. And you think you're getting somewhere. You're just spinning your tires. You're spinning your wheels. You would have been best to stay on your side of the playground, but you wanted to come over there and poke a stick at me. Poke the bear. You don't want these claws, buddy. Believe me. You're not built for that. You look very emotionally unstable. When I have emotion, it's real, And, yours isn't. Yours isn't. Your emotion is just anger and jealousy. Those are your emotions. That's what you run on. There's no love. There's no care. You don't care for people. Not at all. Anyways, I got another one for you. This one here is a shadow person story that I got from someone who was driving through New Hampshire. And I gotta say, when the guy was telling me this, I was thinking, I don't know what I would do. I don't know what I would do. But there again, it was somebody that sent something to him that followed him around for 6 years. He finally got some help that helped him, that helped relieve him of this pain that this thing was causing. He says, I had split up with an ex, and her best friend was a Dominican girl from New York City. He lived in New York City. I don't know why anybody would live in that god-awful place, but people do. And he says, dude, I lived there for several years for a job. He goes, I'm originally not from there. I'm from Ohio. He said, but then I met a woman who treated me good, and I liked her, and we decided to move away. She was from New Hampshire. She went back to her home. He says, come with me. He says, literally, like out of a movie. He goes, I walked out of my job and followed her. It's the most beautiful woman I'd ever met. He goes, I would follow her to the ends of the earth. So what he did, he goes, my ex had wiped out my savings and ran off with another dude. Her best friend was this Dominican girl who practiced, he goes, what you call brujeria. I was like, okay, so tell me about it. This is Frank's story. So what happened to Frank? I guess could happen to anybody when you don't believe. And I said, Frank, this thing that happened to you, were you a Christian? He says, no, I wasn't. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in Christ. I didn't believe in anything. Nope. He goes, he goes, I believe, but I'm not religious. And I said, that's me. I believe, but I'm not religious. So I said, we're in the same boat. I just said that I wish you would have caught the boat a little sooner, because then this may not have happened to you, because all this witchcraft that they throw at you doesn't work. When you have God, true Christ, true God, they can't hurt you. They think they can. And then they end up hurting themselves. And then when they stick the spoke in their bikes and they flip over their bike, you know what they do? They blame you. Say, he's doing magic. You know why I know? Because I did it. It didn't work. So he's doing magic. No, it's your own crap boomeranging back at you. And some people just are naturally born with an ability that you do not possess, you don't understand, and you'll never have. So just leave them alone. So anyways, back to Frank. Frank is driving through New Hampshire after he had told this girl that he was like, I'm not going to be with you anymore. I know you were cheating on me, and I've left. Enjoy my money that you took or whatever, and stop trying to call me and get back together or whatever, because she was broke. She'd burned through his money. He's like, I was madly in love with this woman. Looking back on it, he goes, I don't even know what I ever saw in her. She was nasty, mean, vile, treated me bad, made fun of me behind my back, and cheated on me, and ultimately robbed me. He's like, I think she was doing magic from the very beginning with her little friend, Veronica. He says, I think that they put a spell on me. Yeah, exactly, Fruition. She put a spell on him. He's like, so I'm driving through New Hampshire, coming back from a job that I was doing about 10 miles away. He goes, and I see this black thing move across the road, and then it's running alongside my car. He's like, and I'm thinking, what in the heck is that? He goes, and it looked like a man, like running alongside my car, and then it went boom into my car. I expected to feel some kind of thud, bump, something, but it didn't. It was like a little bit of movement. He goes, and then my car straightened out. I was like, oh, I kind of lost control for a second. I thought, what the heck was that? The shadow of this, whatever it was, because I couldn't make out what it was. He's like, and I'm driving along about a mile down the road, and I see some movement in the corner of my eye, in the peripheral. I look over, and there is this thing sitting in the passenger seat. I said, describe it to me. He says, it looked like the shadow of a man. He's like, and I look and I see these red eyes, and I don't, it's not looking at me. He goes, I can see them in the reflection of the window. And he's like, and it was terrifying. He goes, and I was in the middle of the woods, country, whatever. What am I going to do? Pull over and tell it to get out? He's like, and remember, he goes, at this time, I wasn't a follower of Christ. I didn't have any defense. He's like, and then this thing lurches over into the driver's side, and begins to try to take the steering wheel and run me off the road. He's like, and I began to fight back. He goes, but when I would touch this thing, my hand would literally go through it. Like it was a spongy type thing. It was weird. And he said, I couldn't wrap my mind around what was happening. He goes, it was bizarre to say the least, and I was so scared. He goes, I was terrified. He's like, and then I felt like I couldn't breathe. And this thing, if you want to call it an arm, was trying to put its arm down my mouth and stop my breathing. And finally, I did yank the car off the road because I was afraid I was going to be thrust into oncoming traffic. He's like, I fumbled for my phone. I dialed 911. I didn't know what else to do. And eventually, this thing just got out of my vehicle and took off, and it went into the woods, like walking like a man. Not fast. Wasn't in a hurry. And I'm sitting there going like, what just happened? Because I didn't know. I honestly did not know what just happened. I was stunned. And I was terrified. He's like, and so I'm sitting there and I'm going like, I can't believe this. This shadow got into my vehicle and assaulted me, tried to kill me. He's like, I called my girlfriend and I said, something weird just happened to me. He's like, I get back to the house, and we had, an apartment at that time. And she was like, tell me everything. And he's like, he goes, I didn't. I said, I'm going to tell you everything. And he goes, I lied. I did not tell her the full story. I couldn't. He's like, how am I going to tell her what the hell just happened? He's like, I knew she believed in God and all that. He goes, but who's going to believe that this shadow man jumped into my vehicle and tried to commandeer it and began to choke me? He said, days go by. He's like, I didn't want to say anything. And then he said, finally I told her, I said, look, I'm going to tell you the truth. Something happened to me the other day on the highway. He says, I wasn't being completely honest. I wasn't having an anxiety attack. I did, but it was after what had happened. Let me tell you what happened. And he told her the whole story. And then she said, you're not crazy. She's like, when we were children, we had this shadow entity that came into mine and my brother's room when we were kids. It terrified us. It came in night after night after night for several months until we finally moved away from that place. We bought a bigger house when my little sister was born. She's like, I must have been 4. I remember it. And he said, well, what happened to me just happened. And I was 34. I wasn't a little kid. He's like, and not to be insulting, but he goes, I know I made her upset. He goes, I said, but maybe what happened to you was a childhood memory or whatever. He goes, I don't know. He's like, what happened to me? He's like, just happened. And I can't fall back on, well, I was a kid, whatever. He goes, so after that, he goes, she really didn't talk to me much about it. I think she felt insulted, and rightly so. And he goes, and then I felt bad about it. I regretted the way that I talked to her. And I said, man, I never should have talked to her that way. He's like, I should have been more discerning with the way I spoke to her. I should have been more comforting instead of a jerk. Because I thought that she was just humoring me, but I realized she wasn't. She actually cared. And that's a mistake he made. He said, night after night, I would have these weird dreams. This thing would come up at the foot of my bed and would grab my ankles and try to pull me down. He goes, and then I would look, and my legs would be slipping off into this abyss. He goes, and I would get really close. Sometimes it would go all the way up to my neck, and I'm holding on, trying to keep from going down into this black hole. And he says, Mr. Wolf, he calls me Mr. Wolf. He says, Mr. Wolf. He says, let me ask you a question. What do you think would have happened if I would have went down into that? I said, that's called the abyss. Well, there's no telling you what would have happened. You might not have come back. See, people that believe very much into just flesh and blood world that we live in, they think that there is no such thing. And like the Bible says, the foolish man says in his heart that there is no God. They don't believe it. But as we talked about last night, I encourage you to go back and listen to last night's show. Learn something. We had Rob Yox on with Chris James, and we talk about the abyss.
Maybe.
Rob,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Rob is a man that knows his stuff.
Oh, yeah. He was very impressive. Maybe if he got pulled down into that abyss, his body would just become like an open husk for something else to walk in.
Well,
That's a terrifying thought, too.
That is, and especially when they're practicing brujeria.
Because he might have just gotten stuck there and something else is piloting his body and his family's none the wiser.
Dana is right about what you just said. Yes, Dana. So he said night after night this happened to me, and then finally my girlfriend's mother, he's like, very nice person. My parents had raised me to be, do what you want, agnostic at best. Big mistake. And then he said, her girlfriend's mother comes over and she's like, I want you to go to church with us. I think you should go to church with us. And Frank was like, I don't believe that. She's like, you don't have to. Just come to church with us. And he did. He said, and I felt good. I felt good. And then a couple of weeks, I go again and again. He goes, and I started feeling better. He's like, and then eventually the preacher talks to me and he says, I want you to say the prayer. You seem like you're understanding now. He said, so I did. And we've talked about it on the show. He got down on his knees and he says, God, I come unto you in the name of Christ. Please accept me. A sinner. I've committed many sins. Forgive me for those sins. Come into my heart and save me from my sins. I had confessed that you are my Lord and Savior, King of kings and Lord of lords. You are the truth, the light, and the way, and the only way to the Father. He's like, I said this whole prayer. And while we were talking, he lost control of his emotions. It happens. I do it. Start crying. You feel bad. You feel sad. Everything you've done comes flooding back to you. Every time I recommit myself with that prayer, I feel it. They said every emotion that I had ever inflicted on someone was there, good and bad. I said, I felt it. It was a very powerful, moving experience. He said, and then one day I was in the kitchen and I was making breakfast for my, at that time, fiance. And he's like, we decided that we were going to not do anything together until we got married. So I got a place. She had her place. And we did what we thought was right by her parents and by God. This is what he said, okay? It's his choice to be that way. Doesn't matter whether you believe or don't believe or you think he's crazy. This isn't a religious show. We're not trying to preach. I'm telling you the truth of what he believed. And he said, the weird things that were happening, she confessed to him. She said, these things, I've seen them. I've come out of the bathroom and I saw this shadow standing right there in front of me with red eyes, looking right at me. She's like, another time I woke up, I couldn't breathe. And there was this thing that, when I finally did breathe, this black smoke came out of my mouth. She's like, and I didn't tell you these things. I want to make you more afraid. And I didn't want to offend you. I think that I was just making it up. And he goes, no. And I finally had this conversation about it. And he says, I am being plagued by this demonic, which he knows now is a demon, shadow entity. And he said, I have a friend at work who talks about these shadow beings. So they come from an alternate reality. Yeah. And he says, they're just like us. There are alternate versions of us. And he said, yeah, that sounds good in theory, except one thing. This one is attacking me. And it all started after I had a problem with my ex, whose best friend practices black magic. And his friend said, well, scientifically, he goes, and at that point, I just heard blah, 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah.
As soon as you said that.
He didn't, and then he said, dude, it's a demon. It's demonic, evil, whatever you want to call it, the devil, I don't know what you want to call it, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter whether it's an alien or a demon or whatever. We talked about that last night on the show. They're one and the same. I actually believe in ultra-terrestrials, interdimensionals, and whatever, and the bad ones are demons. Simple as that. You can slice it, cut it, cube it, fillet it, cook it up, and however you want to spice it, doesn't change what it is. And so this guy, he said, my whole perspective changed on what this thing was and what it could be and what it could do. He goes, and then I realized one day it came into my room while I was typing. I had a bunch of reports I had to do for my job and working from home because it was during the vid, right? Mm-hmm. And he says, and I hear, just like that. That's my version of it. It didn't sound just like what he did, but that spooky breathing, like something being released. And he's like, and I turn around, and there it is, right there, looking right at me. And that's what I knew. He's like, this is a demon. It's right there. And he goes, and I was scared out of my mind. But I had a cross on my desk, and I grabbed it, and I held it up, and I said, in the name of Jesus, you have no power over me, leave. And what did the preacher had told him to say? He says, I am saved by the blood of the Lamb. Thank you for that donation. We appreciate it. Nicholas Bravo. He said, at that point, this thing looked shocked. He goes, it didn't have any emotion. It was just black, like blacker than black. He's like, but it was like it rolled itself up like a fruit roll-up. Turned into a little ball of smoke and went out the window. A closed window. And I asked him, I said, did you ever encounter this thing again? I mean, did it ever happen again? And he said, yes. One last time. I saw it in my backyard one day when I went outside. He goes, I still have a bad habit. I smoke cigarettes. And he said, I went outside to smoke. He goes, and the only time I'd ever see it is when I would light up my cigarette. And he said it came right through the neighbor's fence. This is when they were living together finally. We had a house. We got married. Been married for 1.5 years now. He said, and I stood up one day and I just said, in the name of Jesus, you have no power here. You have no power to be in my house or anything. Leave. And he said it was almost like it turned into this weird, sort of translucent, weird, like the Predator effect. You know?
Yeah.
Not his words, mine, because the way he described it. And he said it turned around and walked through the fence and was gone.
Yeah, and I don't think it's a coincidence that you did say that the only time he ever saw it after that was when he was lighting up a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, I mean, he acknowledged that is a bad habit, and I think it's not coincidental that, like, when he's indulging in like that one vice that he just can't kick, then that's when this thing appears.
Yeah.
Because it's like saying like, yeah, I still have a way in right here. You know, like you can go to church and be a man of God all you want, but you still got this one vice that's letting me in, that I'm, you know, because I think like that these like demonic entities, they're very strategic, and like they don't just overwhelm you like a ton of bricks. They're very subtle, you know, and they'll look for little, like even just like the smallest little pinprick of a chink in your, I guess, spiritual armor, and like they'll use that as their in and try to hammer like a little wedge in there, and over time just hammer away at it and hammer away at it and hammer away at it. And every time you indulge in that vice and think like, it's no big deal, I'm not hurting nobody, you know, blah, blah, like those, when you give yourself those justifications in doing something that you know is wrong, like it's bad for your body, it's bad for your, you know, whatever, it's like immoral, if even just like the slightest bit, but you give yourself an out. You know, those things love that opportunity. They love to like latch on to that, you know, and with this demon thing that was plaguing this guy, that was like the last thread that it was hanging on to, you know, just to stay in his life and see if he would fall, you know, see if it could still kind of turn him,
Just tempt him a little bit.
yeah, because especially once people who are living in darkness are pulled out of it, like the things that were enslaving them, those dark forces, they remember that and they want them back bad because they see it as a huge spiritual victory if they can take someone who's been saved and take their salvation from them. Mm-hmm. It's a huge thing. At least that's what I believe. They see it as a huge win.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
I think, too, you know, after I talked to him, he still has dark thoughts at times. He says, I've thought about revenge on my ex. I thought about revenge on her friend. And he said, and, you know, another thing, too, he goes, her friend tried to seduce me. He goes, and it was really close, came really close. My girl was out of town, and he's like, she tried to get me drunk and do stuff. And he goes, and I didn't even realize at the time, he goes, I would have done it too, but I was loyal. I didn't realize she was off cheating with another guy that weekend. And I said, it's a good thing you didn't, because sometimes, like Anthony just said, that's the end that they need.
Yeah.
If she would have been able to do that to you, then she really, because you don't want to do that with someone who is able to practice that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, you don't want to leave like any body DNA around them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like the second you're pulled out of darkness, that these like you become a target forever for the things that were previously in your life, the evil forces.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good thing he didn't indulge that and try to take some kind of revenge or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. He asked me how I would have handled it, and I said pretty much like you did. But I would have done it from Jump Street. I would have just went straight at it. I don't tolerate any of these things around me in any shape or form. And if they appear or I see them, which I have seen them a couple times lately, because I know it's coming from one particular person who other people have claimed to have seen this thing. And they admitted to one of the defectors that they have been doing this to me. And they have sent agents of darkness, as lead tracker E just put. They sent them to basically give them a layout of my house and find out where I'm at and blah, 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 blah. Does it look like I'm concerned? Am I running and hiding in fear? No. And I'll send a message to you. You better hope that's all that goes to my house. This isn't a game for me. They think it's funny, poo-poo caca, whatever. You think it's cute. You know, all the crap that they do. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. And whether the little atheist Bigfooters, the Blakes of the world, whether you believe it or not, son, can I call you son? Although I wouldn't want a child like you. You're going to learn one day, because like it says in the Bible, and I'm sure you probably don't believe in that, every knee will bow, every head will bow, every tongue will confess. I promise you, that's going to happen. And I don't sit up here like some of those others and proselytize and ask for donations like some televangelist. I'm not holding snakes and letting them bite me and doing all the other foolishness. I'm a very pragmatic realist. And unlike what you said today in the chats over there, I'm not a fraud, I'm not a phony, I'm not a liar like you. I don't do and say the things I do and say out of spite.
I would wager to say that no one's ever actually learned anything productive from watching your channel. And not one person can say that about PRT. So there you go.
Yeah. I mean, watch a channel where you just do hit pieces on people. You basically take a hit out on people and just attack their character and assassinate it. And you tried that with me and it didn't work. Nice try though. Neat little graphics too, where you make fun and do whatever. And now he'll probably do what the others have done and turn your channel into the Josh Turner channel. And what that does is sends people to us where we can teach them the truth. So thank you. If you have a lick of sense, you'll stop while you're way behind, but I don't think you do. I don't think any of them do.
No.
It's a shame. But I will say this. There will be another conference. We said that yesterday. For those of you who weren't in the audience, we only had about 420 people yesterday, so I don't think that everybody heard it. My friend Ken has agreed to do that. Not only that, but we're going to do a collaboration. He's going to sing one of the songs that we've written. Well, I say we. It's not me. It's my wife. I'd be lying if I told you I wrote the lyrics, because I didn't. I don't take credit for what's not mine, because I'm not a liar. I'm not a fraud. I'm not a hoaxer. I take what's given to me. He called me a storyteller, says he's not worried about storytellers. Well, then stop worrying about me, kiddo. You shouldn't worry about us storytellers. Although you have a big one and a cheerleader now that's from the swamp that's so happy that you attacked me. The biggest, fakest of them all. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the biggest fraud of them all? Oh, you know you are. Oogie boogie. And now he's in your cheerleading section. Congratulations. Along with 3 or 4 other fraud hoaxers. Isn't that what you were trying to do, was stop them? But inadvertently now you're on their team, so good luck with that. That's your team now. That's your squad. Did they send you your jersey yet? Right? I believe it would probably be red with horns. Comes with a little helmet with horns on it. Maybe a triangular tail and a pitchfork. Because that's the Devil's Squad, and that's what team you're on. But see, you know that because you've been on that team for a long time.
Well, no, he don't believe in the devil.
No. But in his deep, deep heart, they all know.
Yeah.
They really do. That's why whenever you pass on or on judgment, there is no excuse.
No, everyone's an atheist until the plane hits turbulence.
Yeah.
Then, oh God. Oh, it's too late for that.
You know, a lot of them are also that way because they're ashamed to admit what they know is to be the truth. You know, I know some of them who've had profound experiences. I talked to a guy recently named Eli who told me an incredible story. All this amazing thing that happened to him. And I said, and now you believe in God? He goes, no, I don't. No. I said, oh my gosh. His mother was in the background. And I thought I was kind of getting snarky, and I'll be honest. I said, oh, you live with your mom? Like a true millennial. He says, no, I'm over here visiting. I said, oh, okay, well, there you go. And I'm very disappointed in this guy because he had all these things happen, and he still doesn't believe. And his mother's like, he's never going to believe until the flames are on him. Now, whether you believe hell is a certain way, see, because I'm not like this ghost hunter-ish, Casper the Friendly Ghost kind of guy. No, and I'm not one of those, hell is always about flames and everything else. No, there's science behind it. Negative goes to negative, and it goes to certain areas, certain realms. That's where you end up, whether you want to believe it or not, all you little snarky poos. It's funny, too, because the people that attack our channel incessantly really should be on our side, but they can't. Because they know that we know they're fake. So they have to be against us. They have no choice. Mm-hmm. And then the little goof of the bearded woman, the whatever he is. What you do is just stepped into a war that was really not your fight. But let's be honest. At some point, we have to cross the Rubicon with you and your kind. And PRT, make no mistake, you're our enemy. Because you're atheists, Bigfooters, or whatever the hell you want to call yourself.
Atheist apers.
And you're cynics, aren't you? You're not skeptics. You masquerade as skeptics. I'll say something else, too. There's another one that goes around pretending to be a skeptic. But didn't you have a hyena man encounter? What happened to that? You're a big old skeptic. And somehow, you're the only one that's ever told me that it was nice and docile and sweet. Because I think you're a liar. But I know things about you, don't I? And you've done everything but say my name. I'm waiting for that. So go ahead. Say it. Say something. You set yourself up as the guru of these things, which you claim to know. See, that's what we're dealing with, folks, in this cesspool of a community, as they like to call it. It's no community. Because the hucksters, the charlatans, the frauds, the outright liars, the abusers of women and children, and there's a lot of them. The ones that just go around attacking people, the cynics that shouldn't even be here, find a new hobby. Shocked that some of these people have so many mutuals with me. I can't believe it. How does that even work? We need to do a better job of vetting who we are friends with, and we need to do a better job of removing the trash from our community. Even the people who claim to be doing that are just the trash themselves. So you little turds, you're now on my radar. Yes, you put yourself there by coming after me, and you thought that I would be an easy target because a bunch of fools were attacking me. So why not jump in and take your shots while you can? Because you know as well as I do, at some point, your ass is going to get blistered too. That's what happened. And Slosh Boss and Mr. Dirty Ass Bobberts pointed you in the direction, right? Is that what happened? Or was it Mr. Strudel? As far as I'm concerned, you could all be put in one bag. Funny how these people have nothing in common ideologically except for their hatred for me.
Yeah. They got a lot in common physically, though. They're all pathetically out of shape and
they're very out of shape. It looks like they couldn't even walk across the street to get a pack of cigarettes. Y'all look like cigarette smokers. And if you're cigarette smokers, whatever. These people don't look like they should be smoking cigarettes because they look like they're eating large pizzas and then going and smoking. And they love to talk about me and my weight. I've shown videos of me working out. What do you have?
What is that, dude? Every single one of them. Like, without exception, they're all like dysgenic, out of shape, like just weird looking freaks. I mean, like I'm not even going down a route of like, oh, let's just attack their physical appearance. I don't think it's a coincidence. There's some kind of connection there to where because your physical health is tied to your mental health and vice versa.
They don't get that.
Yeah, I mean the mind, the body, the spirit. It's all one interconnected machine. They just all look just gross. They don't take care of themselves.
Inside is outside, I guess.
Yeah.
The difference, though, is that I have, as they called it, the super friends. Thanks for calling us that. Legion of Doom, whatever you want to call us. We're the good, we're the bad, whatever. Whichever one you want to be, you can be the villain. He claims that I'm Thanos because of all the rings. Well, if the rings fit, wear them, right? bearded lady. And the truth be told, all I got to do is snap. I mean, and you're wanting me to do it, but you want relevancy. Well, I'm going to make you relevant. Because the truth is, none of you can do what we've done and what we can do and what we will do. And you have not fostered true, meaningful, lasting friendships with people who are true and that really matter. And you're not going to be able to sit here at 11:20 at night and have 430 people in your chat. You know, that's not an amazing number. I've had 600, 700. I've had what? We've had what? 800 people in the chat. Doesn't matter. If I put out some amazing headline-grabbing stuff and wanted views, as you claim that I do, I could have all the people I want in the chat. Doesn't matter. And Boogie, what, 102,000 views on one of his videos yet?
30 comments on that same video and only like 100 likes.
And only 100 likes. That cost you a grip, didn't it? Talking about everything's going to cost me money. Well, I don't care about that. Because contrary to what you people are saying, not my listeners, but them, I'm not up here begging for it like you do.
Because we work.
We have jobs.
We don't put our stuff behind a paywall.
And then he says that it costs us nothing to be here. Oh, it's costing each one of us a couple $100 each to be here.
We could all be at work.
We could all be at work tonight.
But they don't understand that because they don't do that.
Yes, and lead tracker, on that note, hit like, please, the like button. I will say this. All the work we put into this show, he says it's easy and that it does nothing. You're out of your ever freaking mind. Maybe your show is easy because it's low production garbage.
Yep. There's nothing to it.
And you don't go out and field reports. And let me say something else about your whatever, hiking shoes on the ground. Where is your evidence that you get from these furloughs that you go out into the woods? And another thing, too, where are your witnesses that are giving you any kind of information to give to your listeners? You don't have it, do you? Nobody's sending you stories because you don't know how to tell their encounters correctly, do you? None of you do. That's why you don't get them. Mondays are a big day because over the weekend, I get a bunch of stuff that comes on my table. These guys can attest to that. We get a ton of stories on Mondays.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, Joanne, because he doesn't do research. He claims he's a researcher, but you're not. And that can be said for him and all of his friends, Mr. Dill Pickle and all the others. Take it for what it is. Go ahead, make another hit piece about me or get your friend Dill Pickle to make one. Doesn't matter. You'll always be irrelevant unless I make you relevant. And we acknowledge you. But you wanted it. They act big and bad like they just got done smoking with the Decepticons. Dude, you didn't fight nobody. You've gone after weak targets. You've gone after people who were ill. You've attacked elderly women. But now you're messing with somebody who is a real person. Little kid talking about you'll fight me. Please. I could march a dozen people up here to tell you how I beat their ass. They'll actually openly admitted it. We were at the bar. They told Anthony about it.
Mm-hmm.
Big guys, tough guy, former drill instructor from Killeen. He's a butcher. Big, strong guy. Big dude. Drill instructor at Fort Hood. No shame in his game. He said, this dude knocked me right on my ass.
Yeah, he wasn't embarrassed to admit that at all. So that's one of the first things he said when I met him.
Mm-hmm.
You just shook my hand. He's like, your Uncle Hill, he's the only man who knocked me on my ass. That's the first thing he said.
Yeah. Told you and Deuce. Deuce King is a very, very well-known jiu-jitsu and boxing coach here in Austin. And he was standing right there, and he heard the guy. The guy's tough, too. He used to box in the Army. You think I'm joking? You think this is a game? Kid, you're so out of your depth. You're not smarter than me. You're not stronger than me. And you look like a hermaphrodite. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but pick a gender and just be whatever it is that you want to be. I gave you the opportunity to talk to me today. You want to bring me on your show so you and your little buddy Dill Pickle can ambush me. Why don't you two just keep doing whatever y'all are doing, smacking each other up or whatever it is y'all do? You wanted to be in a war. Well, now you are. Congratulations. Welcome to the party. Now, like I said, go get your uniform, report to your sergeant, swamp ass, and let him start giving you the orders, because I'm sure he will work with anyone who will fight me. Even a woman known as Kat, horribly racist comments she made about him, and he laughed it off. But yet, I called them boys, and I became a huge, horrible bigot. Right? But she called him stuff I won't even repeat because it's disgustingly disrespectful to African Americans, and he laughed it off and said, oh, yeah, because I'm his target. He's even promoting VC, person he was dedicated to hating. Gave up a big part of his sanity in his life to hating that guy, and now he's all kissing up because he's desperate to do anything to slow me down or stop me, because I have real numbers, just like our friends, like Barton and Elbin Holler and all the others, real numbers that are growing and growing and growing, and they see themselves being left in the dust, and there's nothing they can do. Their channels don't grow. His is the only one that's growing, and it's not real. Huge numbers. I'm going to go 20,000 more than you, 20 times you. Yeah, if you got the money, just keep buying them, buddy.
Yep.
Now go and buy the views to back up the subs. That's what you have to do now. Watch how he does that. Then we'll see. Sloppy, fat turd.
Well, with the last video, he bought the views, just not bought likes and comments.
We will see if they catch the algorithms, if they catch you. Because when he posted the Social Blade thing, all I did was confirm what everybody already thought, and they laughed at you.
Oh, yeah.
I had about 10, 12 creators going, I didn't know this. He posted that. I was like, yeah, exactly. It's like going and posting the murder weapon right there. Because you, unfortunately for you, you think, but you're not smart. And you laid all these traps out for me, and I took every one of them like a mouse. No, the opposite is what happened. And I've proven you wrong every time. But hey, now you have Bearded Lady. Yay. Big win, that one. Big win. I think he's got like 1,500 subs. We need to be careful. But they're probably still more than you, Swamp Ass, because his are probably real. I wonder, because at one time, didn't these people have a problem with you? And then y'all abandoned your friend to be eaten alive by these derelicts while y'all just stuck your head in the sand and ran away. Yeah, I know about that too. Nice guy, you just left him to be eaten alive. And then you turned to softer, weaker targets, didn't you? And then you got bold and thought, oh, now's our chance to come back into relevancy. Let's attack this guy. Boy, was that a stupid freaking idea. That was a dumb one, wasn't it? Dumb mistake. And then you want to talk about my money and all this and that. It's mine, and you'll never have it. Take a bath, wash and shave that rat nest of a beard, because you don't know how to clean it properly. You can tell it's disgusting. Turn your hat back around and go get a job. You moron. And while you're at it, get on your knees and pray to God. And ask for forgiveness for all your nasty lies and fraudulent behavior with your inglorious and disgusting self. You wish you could touch the bottom of my feet. You won't. Never will. So, there's that. Folks, I want to thank you for tuning in. Thank you for tuning into my channel. I Always do my best to bring my A game, give you the best. You are here to be entertained, but I also like to teach. And I like to give the encounters in a very uplifting way. Sometimes it gets a little, hairy. What do I think about what happened with this story? I don't know. I just know that those towns have been plagued by a creature for years. And I don't know what it was. I don't know what it is. Is that a possible explanation for it? It's as good as the next one. Do you have the Bear King?
Yeah, I can play it.
We're going to play a couple songs for you. We're going to play the Bear King and we're going to play the Mummy. Those are the two newest ones that are my favorites. The La Llorona's on there too. It just got dropped. Please go and subscribe like and subscribe to Paranormal Sound Table. Paranormal Sound Table. Please. We only have I think 70, 80 subscribers on there now.
The link to is pinned at the top of the chat.
The link is now pinned at the top of the chat. Paranormal, that's Paranormal Roundtable.
No, it's just a common name. But if they open that,
Thank you, Bravo, for that.
Yeah, Quantum.
Awesome. Thank you.
Quantum Potential, it's with my favorite as well.
This is the new one that my wife wrote for me, based on the accounts, and it's called The Bear King, based on the accounts. And I thought it'd be cool to add it to with the Viking theme and everything. That's where it came from, the Berserker.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So that one is the Bear King. And then we'll play the Mummy. Doesn't look like you have it on there. There it is, version right there, top. Nelly wrote these, all of these.
Entombed for 3,000 years, wrath growing in me. I have lived an eternity, suspended in darkness. Release me. Condemned and bound, the sands of time have run out. Curse fills the room, curiously open my tomb. Rising from the cradle of death, my sentence has come to an end. Release me, wasting and running. Release me. My curse is your curse, death is the gift I bring. Revenge in my hands, I feel no remorse. This is the mummy's curse. Release me, wasting and running. Release me.
So what'd you guys think of that? I know a lot of people dropped out and didn't want to hear it, I guess, but whatever. What do you guys think, the 283 people that are still here? Go to Paranormal Soundtable, folks. Like and subscribe. These also are available for download purchase, I believe, on Apple.
Yeah, they're so some, but not all of them they're going to be on Spotify, on iTunes, on Apple Music, which I guess are two different things somehow, and Amazon Music. So you can stream it, you can buy it and download a physical copy. The La Llorona, the Bear King, and the one we just heard, the Mummy's Curse. I think those are on Paranormal Soundtable right now, but I don't think they're on the streaming services or Apple Music or Amazon Music. But it just takes time. They're being distributed to those platforms as we speak. So,
And future projects we got in the works. The Skinwalker. She's got another one called what's it called? Envy.
yeah,
Called Envy, that she wrote about the situation that's going on. I don't know how I
really
feel
creative.
about that one.
She's just really creative. And
She's so creative. Yeah, she's very creative.
she's on a roll, man. And in between all of this, she also, paints and draws
Yeah, beautiful
Yeah.
stuff.
beautiful stuff.
And she keeps it to herself because she
Yeah.
thinks people won't like it. And I'm like, come on.
But,
It's amazing what she can do. She's an amazing individual, and she doesn't want credit. She actually wanted me to take credit for writing the songs, and I told her no, I'm not going to do that. I will not do that.
I think the best thing about her too is, despite having all these like really amazing traits, is how supportive she is of like other people's traits. Like, you know, she'll support other people's hobbies, and she'll like do everything her best her best ability to assist other people and making sure like they have a good time with whatever they're interested as well. And like that's my favorite thing about her, is like despite being so well versatile and so well, you know, creative in so many different aspects, she still has time to have that ability to save a little bit herself for other people's projects as well.
Yeah, I think she saves like too much of herself.
That's
for
the
people's
issue
projects,
there.
and that's her problem. Sometimes she cares to a fault. You know, I mean, she'll compromise her own mental and physical health just for another person. You know.
Somebody made a comment that I wanted to read, and I just lost it. Yeah, Dana, from what I heard so far, Envy was really good. But she also wrote The Skinwalker, that one. And I will say this is all I will say for myself. I had some input on the Skinwalker one. I'm sorry. The Bear King and the Mummy. Somebody said the Dogman one. We haven't done the Dogman one yet. We did the werewolf called The Change. And it was sort of the guy's voice was kind of Post Maloney type thing, you know, which I thought was pretty cool. A lot of people like it. Curtis Turner is like, that's my jam. I was like, hey, to each his own. But Ken Gerhardt's going to do one that's sort of like a Frankenstein's monster, not exactly, but something similar to that. She wants him to do that one, and then a werewolf one, which we've already discussed with him. Wolf, thoughts on Franklin Barbecue in Austin? Overrated. Don't. It's not bad. Don't mistake what I'm saying. It's very good, but it's not any better than Louis Miller or Thorndale. I mean, it's just not. Black's is good, too. Black's is good over there on Barton Springs, of course. Yeah. And Style Switch. They all have the very similar taste, but I like Rudy's, too. Rudy's uses oak. Some of them, they use different types of wood, type of smoke, and they all have different sauce. I'm not a big sauce guy. I believe that you should be able to eat your brisket without sauce. I don't eat much beef. Brisket is one of the few beefs that I eat. I don't eat a lot of steak either. We gave away a lot of steak at Christmas. I probably have eaten it twice since we got it. Y'all guys eat it all the time. I don't. I'm just not a steak.
We've been making steaks.
I'm not a steak eater. And we still have a couple people we haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah.
My doctor and Big Mama. Big Mama, if you're out there listening, we'll get to you. Don't worry.
Yeah, the thing about Texas is that, you know, everything is good out here. Like, the food is so good that when you're really comparing, like, oh, what's the best barbecue place, you're just going into different minutiae, because it's like, it just depends on, like, what your personal taste is at that point. Any one of those restaurants that Wolf named you go to, you're going to get a good meal.
Yeah, you really can't lose with Texas barbecue.
Snow's, Chris Anderson. How do you know about Snow's, Chris? Where are you from? Snow's ain't no joke. He's right about that. Snow's is good. Snow's. I'll tell you something else too. For being a big chain, you know, in a pinch, Bill Miller's ain't bad.
Bill Miller's. That's fine.
It's not no punk. I mean, you know,
they have the best carne asada tacos.
Their carne asada tacos.
I don't know what they do, but
What
it's just different.
Where do we get the loaded bakers?
Oh, Moe's, Smoky Moe's.
Smoky
Smoky
Moe's.
Moe's got good turkey. But I could tell you, Thorndale, though, that turkey that Trey makes, that's the best turkey on earth right there.
No.
Trey can do it all. I got to say, Trey, that's why he caters all of my stuff. Even though I'm good friends with the owners of some of these places, I'm friends with Shane from Style Switch. I grew up with him, went to school with him, and but he changed the recipe of his mac and cheese. Thank God, because I would have been eating it. I would have been fatter, you know. But very good brisket, I gotta say. Shane Style Switch, very good. But I'm partial to Thorndale. I mean, I'm good friends with Trey, and I gotta say, Trey's like me. Like, it's funny because he'll go around to all these different meat markets and different places and take pictures and promote them.
No.
And people will say things like, "Why do you do that? That's your competition." Because he knows what he's got.
Yeah.
And he's not worried about a threat from them. And like he says, there's enough for everybody. Why does everybody got to be so greedy with everything? And I can tell you this, people have said that to me. They're like, you're promoting all these other channels and we don't have time to listen to all these other channels. And I said, well, you know what? If it comes down between me and them, you pick the one that you think is best for you. Okay? Because there might be a subject that they're talking about that they're more down with, you know, and then I'm not the guy for that, for you.
In all honesty, they provide a different perspective than we have.
Yeah.
I mean, Barton has a different perspective living in Kentucky than we will have living in Texas. You know, and so, I mean, we don't go around in the woods carrying 2 swords trying to hunt down Bigfoot, so he has that perspective compared to us. So, like, if you want to hear that, which we recommend because we think it's a very good perspective to have and to learn from, then go watch his channel. Same with everyone else. I mean, I think what's really cool about all the different channels is that it's a variety of different people, you know. You have Jerry Williams, who's a Native American who also, you know, tracks Bigfoot. And, like, that's something very impressive. And he teaches people how to do that. And his book, you know, that he wrote also teaches people how to do that. And then you also have Chris Garitano, who has a production kind of insight where he kind of does all of the stuff where he does the documentation of it and kind of all that, so you get that kind of insight. So I think, you know, yeah, you might not have the time to watch these channels, but you are kind of limiting yourself when you do, because, you know, we believe we do great work. I think everyone here does.
Definitely.
You know, and we're proud of the work we do, but at the same time, like, they do great work as well, and they're providing something that you may not get here.
And I think that I know that our friends view it the same way that you just described it, Tony, and the same way that you just described the wolf. Because what makes their channels great is that they understand that the only competition that really matters or even exists ultimately is the competition with the quality you brought to the table yesterday, the competition with who you were yesterday. It's a competition with yourself. So whatever you're doing, you don't have to do it in order to compete with someone else. Mm-hmm. You have to do it in order to compete with how you did it with your last video, with your last live stream, with your last whatever it is you're doing. You keep doing it and you keep getting better at it. That's the only competition that exists, is the one within yourself. You don't have to compete with anyone else, because that kind of stuff, that if you have a channel or you're making videos that are defined by, okay, I need to do this in order to compete with so-and-so, so I need to do this way. You're not being honest to your creative vision. You're just like keeping up with the Joneses, you know, and it's
There's a lot of that
ingenuous.
too.
And
whatever you're doing, keep doing it and get better at it. That's what matters.
I think especially so for podcasters, because it is so 100% you. Like, I think you need to make sure that you try your best to be yourself. And I think kind of like, you know, I don't know. I think it's just important.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we try to be real. No fake, no fraud, no hoax. We try to be real. And unfortunately, people were going to attack us. And in fact, the little doucher probably doesn't even know why he did it. I mean, maybe he does. Maybe it was all orchestrated, or he just thought he saw an easy target and was jealous of me wearing gold and jealous of that I had followers. Because I know in the video he made a comment, folks, and you got to understand something. He could just not really understand. He may actually think that you guys are just being fooled by me, and I'm some kind of, he says that I'm a con artist, and I'm not. And you guys know as well as I do, if this little guy would go to my conference and see and meet me in person and talk to me, he calls what I do a character. He says I'm in character.
Huh.
Nothing could be further from the
there's
truth.
not one person who's met you who can vouch for that. Good luck finding him.
Yeah. This is not a character, boy. This is who I am all the time. See, you're totally off base. You don't know anything you're talking about. I'm not playing a part. This is not a joke or a game for me. You know? And then he says my gangbanger name or whatever. I was never a gangbanger. And I've said that before. Yeah, Dana, you're right. Dana's actually talked to me on the phone. Long conversation. Anybody who's talked to me, there's been a lot of people who've given me their stories. Some of them are in this chat. And I can tell you right now, dude, I'm no fraud. I'm no con man. I'm good at retelling people's encounters. That's what I do. And I'm very good at my research. I've read a lot. If you watched last night's show, you'll know that. There's nobody that comes on my channel that I can't keep up with. And I'm just like, oh, that guy. Like you're playing Jeopardy. Pick cartoons, dude. Pick cartoons. I'm lost. I don't know. No, that doesn't happen. It does not happen. People, though, in his defense, I will say this about the bearded lady. I will say this. He probably is used to these people really being con artists and being frauds and hoaxers and fakers, and probably thinks that that's what they are. And I will say this. It is hard to believe or accept that somebody can sit down on a bench and actually do 44 reps. I did 44, by the way, of 225. And I hope that you took the time to go and look at the videos, because we did post them, even though I didn't think it was a good idea. And yes, my wife did not like it. She found my other videos too, thanks to you and your little snarky little crap, because she didn't even watch that live stream where I said that. But because of his crap, she found the other videos on my phone. And I know I shouldn't be having to sneak around and take videos of myself lifting weights, but she worries about me because my wife is a true loving and kind person. And she found I had about 20, 30 of them on there. Of me punching things, and not people, but punching, and doing stuff.
Strenuous activities that she would not agree with, basically.
That she didn't want me. She's always worried that I'm going to do too much. She worries about me. She loves me. And maybe that's something that, and in a way, that's kind of sad. Blake, I'm going to call you Blake. I'm not going to call you bearded lady. That's mean. I'm just being ugly and salty. It's not correct. But Blake, what you don't understand is that Nellie loves me. And maybe that's something you don't have or have ever had. I don't know you. I don't know enough about you. I just know that you're a snarky, mean little dude with an anger issue. And that's sad. Maybe you don't know what true love is. But my wife worries about me. I'm in my 40s. Even though I'm in pretty good health, she's like, you don't need to be proving stuff to people. You don't need to lift 700 pounds, which, by the way, I've never done. But I am convinced that I can do it. I am convinced of that because I've done 660 twice. So I'm pretty sure I can do that. And I've done 660 or 630 on that horrible machine that everybody struggles with. And believe me, they do.
Yeah, the issue isn't convincing yourself to lift it. It's just convincing Nellie.
And you know what? Another person that can vouch for me is Ed Brown.
Yeah.
Ed Brown, former Olympic or Mr. Olymp, whatever. Dude, he used to be Tony's coach, Tony's personal trainer. Mm-hmm. Ed Brown, I bench more than him. He don't care. Ed's like, he's cool. He don't care.
That's so down to earth.
He benches 585. That's plenty, dude. The most he got was 585. And I was all excited. I was like, I beat you, He just looked at me like, okay, dude, who cares? He's the one with the trophy.
Yeah, working out with Ed's the best.
But the bottom line is I have a lot of people who can vouch for what I've done and what I can do. And my wife's like, you don't need to prove anything to these people. But sometimes I just want to test myself. And he says, well, if you do something like that, you should be videoing yourself. And I have a few times. But most of the time when I work out, I don't. Last night, when I was at Planet Fitness, and that's not usually where I work out when I want to lift heavy. That's usually a maintenance workout. But hats off to Planet Fitness. They do have enough to hurt you. Okay?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So I was doing full stacks in there. And I started gassing out, but I was on the back, and I was doing all this weight, and there was this lady, she came up to me, and she's in her 70s, bless her heart, she's a sweet lady. Shout out to Pat. She's like, are you okay? And I said, I'm fine, I am just gassed. And she's like, well, all that weight you're doing, And I said, yeah, I know. I was like, but I have to do that to feel it, because I could just do this. It doesn't, And the thing is, when I'm doing that 225 and I'm just going, it looks easy. I make it look easy. But that's the deception, because Pro football players are flying around, moving, and baseball players are making plays, and they make it look easy. Then you go out there and you try to do it. Hell, about 10 years ago, I got in a batting cage, and I couldn't hit the ball for the first 10 minutes. And I finally got into a rhythm. I said, okay, I can do it, you know. That is not easy. I mean, they were throwing the ball. It was you could adjust it, you know.
Heck, just pitching
And they were
the ball.
throwing at 95 miles an hour. I couldn't even make contact. And then I moved it down to 85. Then I do the 80. You know, I'm down to 70. I'm like, now I can hit the ball. But then I figured, I thought, this is stupid. Why go in there and start from the top? You got to work your way up, you know. And I did. And I got in there and I got after it. But that's the thing. You got to work your way up. You can't just go in there and be like, well, I just want to run the place. Can I have a job and be the boss? No. It's not how it works. That is not how life works. Maybe he's a Zoomer. Maybe he's a millennial. I don't know. Some of these millennials are just as bad as Zoomers, and they're actually raising kids. But they think that they're supposed to just get in there and have something without working for it. No, son, you got to work your way up. And I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry, but I think you came across me and you thought, oh, some people sent you to me, and you thought I was an easy mark, so you'd go after me and say a bunch of crap. And that's not the case. And you thought I would just sit back and take it like all your other victims. And that's what they are. I don't even know them. I know one or two of them. And so whatever you got with them is what you got with them. What you got with me, though, is that you stepped in it, dude. A big mistake, because you might be the hero to a pack of vultures. But take a look at those guys that are cheering you on. That's the people you need to be looking at, not me. That's what you should have done from the get-go, was do that. But instead, you threw all your weight behind attacking me. Well, if I were you, I'd go back and talk to the people who sent you and say, hey, why? You know, not as easy as you thought it would be. And he's talking about little old me. Well, there's a few of you in the little cabal that you're in. You're in a little cabal. Yeah, you are. And now you're friends with those guys. You're going to have to you know, work your alliance, do whatever you got to do, come up with a strategy and regroup. You know? Doesn't look good for y'all. And you're now with a pack of, you want to talk about the woo, I don't even know what those people are. They're not the woo. I don't know what they are. They're woo-woo out there. I don't know what they are. They make up fake stories from AI. That's what they do. And they do these fake buying of things, whatever. So that's who you're with now. Congratulations. Somebody who's all skeptical and into the truth and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But yet you went and attacked me. The guy that was fighting the hoaxers, you attacked me. How ridiculous is that? Out of what? Jealousy, envy, or somebody sicked you on me? You thought you'd make a name for yourself by using my name on there? Well, now you got it, dude. You got it. You got what you wanted. But let this be a lesson to the rest of the community. I'm not your patsy. And I'm the real deal, Holyfield. And I've been saying that, and I'll keep saying that. I did it when I was younger. When I first started in the business that I'm in now, not this show, but my career. People messed with me. People came after me. I watched people do horrible, bad mistakes, make horrible mistakes in business. Cheating their clients, arrogantly just doing it out in the open. And all I did was say, look at what we do and look at what they do. We got the business and they didn't. Some of those rivals I had back in the day, where are they now? They're not even in the business anymore. They're in the rearview mirror, and now they're just a footnote, and now they're just a rumor. Nobody remembers them. One of them is, we ran into him, he's working at Best Buy. Selling phones?
Yeah.
They're selling phones. I have no beef with him at all. He's not my enemy. At one time he was. He was a turd. Got so bad between him and my brother that they slashed each other's tires. You know, good old days. But we eventually rose to the top, and, well, he found another career because he wasn't real. And at least to your own self, be true. That is the key. I think some of these people, they get so caught up in their own bullshit that they're not even true to themselves anymore. They don't even know who they are to themselves. When you look in the mirror, can you look in the mirror and talk to yourself and say, hey, you're the real deal? Because if you can't do that, you can't look yourself in the eye, then you got problems. My wife does this thing, and I got to say, I can't say enough about her. She puts little stickers on everything, and it says, you are beautiful. I go to my bathroom.
Yeah, I've seen those. The one on the mirror.
And I'm in there. And, you know, of course, I used to, for years, I had the Trajan with the mask, and he's kind of tilted his head, and he's covered. He's just got a mask. Yeah. So my wife's like, what is your deal with masks? Why do you want to cover your face? You have a beautiful face. And it's not like I hadn't been with people before, women who had told me, said, you have a beautiful face. I don't know if I do or not. I always thought I was kind of ugly. But I was called that by many people over the years, and I just accepted it. When I was a kid, I was called ugly a lot by bullies. And when I would get beat up by people, I thought maybe that's why it was happening, because I was not good looking. But I always remember looking up at the people doing it and thinking how damn ugly they were. And I'm not the best looking guy in the world, but I figured it out. Those people are jealous. They're not happy with themselves. There's something missing within them. And so I liked wearing masks. And at Halloween, I would get a mask and I would wear it until December. And my mom would yell at me and say, why are you always running around the house with a mask on? It's because I wasn't happy with that way I looked. And one day, I admitted to my mom why. And she's like, you think you're ugly? And I told her, I said, yes. And she's like, that's because the people that attack you are ugly. So when you go and hide your face, they win. I've never admitted that on the show. Anthony, you know the story, so does Tony. And so my wife wanted me to take the picture of the mask down, and I said, no, leave it up. We all wear masks. But I don't wear one when I come on this show. What you see is what you get. This is who I am. But people like Blake, they don't care of who you really are. No, in the comments section of Clough's video, he doubled down and continued to call me a con artist. Blake, I promise you I'm not. And maybe in your life, and I forgive you if this is the case, you've been around and dealt with a lot of con artists, and that's your stick, is attacking people who you think are con artists. But with me, son, you made a big mistake. A huge error in judgment, which I'm positive you'll never cop to, you'll never admit it, and you're not going to apologize, and that's fine. Thanks, Sin. I love your sitting eyebrows. I actually had a good laugh with Kaylee and Sarah about that from AI. We talked to them the other day, and I said, really? My eyebrows are satanic? Come on, ladies. The thing is, most of what people say can just roll off my back like water off a duck. I'm used to it. What got me, though, was when you thought, and this is the one thing that stuck with me, that my wife, you go, I don't know, she's frail or fragile or something. You just nonchalantly threw my wife out there like it's nothing. And this is the thing that people get. When you mess with me, you're going to get the horns if you talk about people I care about. I don't give a rat's ass what you say about me. I'm not going to prove shit to you. But when you said that who would do that, who would not lift and take pictures and videos of it to protect their wife, I would. Me. I will do that because I love her and I respect her. It's the truth. There's a lot of people who don't have to face things with me because my wife is in my life. I had already slowed down when I basically adopted these kids. I didn't officially adopt you, only Zane, but I raised you.
Oh, yeah.
So I knew I had to change my life. But then when my wife came into my life, I just probably shouldn't even say this. She almost left me a couple times, and with good reason, because of the way I was. She's like, you're so quick to fight with people or argue or whatever. She's like, why do you want to prove anything to people who are beneath you? And it wasn't about the show. People would attack or say things. They would go after my wife. That would really piss me off. They'd go after my boys. Piss me off. Got into it with this one guy because he went after Anthony's sister. That's my niece. You don't mess with mine. I'm a big boy. I can take care of myself. When my friends, my author friends and my podcast friends, YouTube friends, whatever, TV friends say something, my fight friends, they're like, hey, you need some help? No, stay out of it. I got this. I'm a big boy. I don't want to drag you into something you don't need to be in. I'm not like them others. I don't go run around and call in favors. Swamp Ass called in every favor he knew, every favor he had, and announced it, that he was telling everyone that I was a menace. Coming from the biggest fraud in this whole damn community. I'm the menace. Funny. I'm not the one calling people up and asking for favors and to join my squad. Or even trying to get my minions to cajole them or even threaten them. Talking about you're going to ruin people if they don't help you. And you got some of them to do it. It was really stupid of them. And the sad thing is, I think this guy, I don't even think he was involved. I think he just jumped in.
Yep.
Dumb. Very dumb on your part, and very irresponsible because you didn't do any research.
Couldn't even see the fraud that was right under his nose.
Yeah, you go after me.
I mean, how exactly do you align yourself with a channel that's like got 200,000 subscribers, and then you can go and look on their page, dude, and every one of their videos has like on average 1,000 to 2,000 views? How does that make any sense? 200,000 subscribers.
He could have easily done some research.
Yeah. But he averages maybe 1,000 to 2,000 views, if he's lucky 3,000. And the one video that has 100,000 views has got 3 comments and like 100 likes. How does that work? Mm-hmm. You're not using your brain. You're probably smoking pot or something. And then you look like it. You probably smell like it too. Stop smoking weed.
And then everybody that goes and tells you that I'm the bad guy, so you think you're the big hero by attacking me. But I can't even say that we have anything in common because I'm not a cynical little bastard, and I believe in God. And I've heard your sounds that you play, whatever. That's what you think you're defending? I'm not attacking it. I don't know what that shit is. That could be coyotes on crack for all I know. Mad because people listen to me and not you. It's called charisma, kid. I don't know how old you are. You look like you're in your early 20s. But who knows? You know, I'm in my 40s and I don't look it. But you're probably in your 20s, right? Maybe 30 at the most. I don't know. You have a lot of growing up to do, and maybe you can look back on this in 15 years. Maybe I'm still around. Maybe I'm not. At some point, maybe you'll look at it and go, man, I don't expect an apology from you. You're not the kind that'll do that. You and your friends, you go after people. His channel, Quantum, is called, don't say the whole channel, it's not giving him views, but it's called Conservancy of some crap. I don't know. That's honestly, I don't know. I know Bigfoot and Conservancy. That's all I know. But, you know, giving him views is just giving him oxygen. The point is making an example of this kind of behavior in this field. With the best of intentions, as they claim, you go after people who are already going after people who are doing the hoaxing and the frauds. And you come and attack me. And I've talked to a couple people who know you very well, and they were surprised by your behavior. They were very disappointed because we have some mutuals. And they were like, what's wrong with that guy? Doesn't he pay attention? No, he probably doesn't. He's too busy eating sandwiches and smoking pot. Mm-hmm. It's stupid. A very stupid thing to do. So you open this up for us now. And then you got your comeuppance today. But yeah, you ran over there like a little dumb shit, started making comments, and then because whenever somebody makes a comment in his deal, he deletes it.
Yeah. And then says he doesn't.
And then says he doesn't, and we have proof that you did. You've been proven to be not correct, dishonest, over and over again. If you're half a man, you would say, look, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have attacked this guy. I didn't even know him, and I did no research on it. And the rest of the community should follow suit and be like, hey. But you don't. Because it's follow the leader and try to stab him in the back, and that's what you all do. Because we're doing something that you can't do. And then he said the board game is fake. I'll show you fake. Thank you, though, for lighting a fire under my ass to get it done, because now I'm going to make time to make sure it gets finished. Once again, my wife's project. Does the music that we make, is that fake? Does it sound fake? Michael Spencer is the one that sang the...
Bear King.
His name. I didn't even know his name, unfortunately. Couldn't remember. There's, the other guy from Australia did the Mummy, and then Violet Helms did the female vocals for La Llorona, Night Visitors, and The Haunting. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the gentleman's name that did the werewolf. My wife wrote it and was involved in...
The other guy's name was Jedediah.
Jedediah, okay. She had this vision of how we're going to do the music, and she wrote the lyrics, and that's what she did, and she got what she wanted. And I contributed a little bit to the ideas of the Mummy, and I contributed a lot more to the Bear King. Other than that, it's all hers. So, anyways, maybe next time, somebody that decides that they just want to jump on somebody and attack somebody and even help the frauds along, the vulture of the world. The vultures is, ooh, I'm so scared. She's like, vultures can be mean. Not really. They just eat carrion, lady. Why don't you go do a piece on him? I don't see you going after that guy. At least your buddy Dill Pickle did that. At least I could say that. For all the other people he's character assassinated. And Vomit, yes, Chris Anderson, they do that. But you wanted it, so you got it now. You messed with me. See, big mistake. So now, go to your channel and come up with some more crap and make some more videos and whatever and try to become relevant. And like I said, I didn't even tell Clef to do that video. But I took a special interest in that one because people like you think you're too smart. You think you're too cool for school. You think you're above all of us. You think you're above me and Swamp Ass. You think you're up there somewhere, don't you? Looking down on everybody. Hey, guys. I was talking about... That's what you do. And that's how you look. Like something straight out of Idiocracy.
Welcome to my channel. I love you.
Welcome to my conservative channel. I love you. And then the whole time he's making all these comments, he's like, well, I really don't know. If you don't know, then shut your freaking mouth and go pick another target. It's ridiculous. And folks, it's not even him. It's the people like him and that whole cabal. A bunch of atheist skeptics who just launch attacks on people. It's what you do. And you're all going to get it, believe me. That whole little nest of vipers, you're all a bunch of pit vipers that hang out in those groups, suckering people in so that you can jump on them and attack them.
Yeah, they just wait for that opportunity for someone to say the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm. And Strudel Doodle came in and went all in on my wife who didn't know what was going on.
It's another bug-eyed fat boy.
And then he went all in on her. And then your buddy Dill Pickle tries to tell me that I need to apologize. Well, you know what, Dill Pickle? Sit on it and spin. You are just as bad as Blake. You're a big part of this. So you can get it too. You little punk. You're a punk. You're a little punk. You're both punks. Go get together and talk about me right now. You're punks. Go get Strudel Doodle and all the whole gang and go get with the woo-woo foo-foo people that you're now friends with and you've made an alliance with. All of you, come at me and watch what happens. To me, nothing. Nothing is going to happen to me. Nothing, not a damn thing. Try voodoo, try hoodoo, try doo-doo, try everything you want. Try to come and fight me. This is how I imagine they box. That's what I think. Like those little puppets. That's how I imagine. That's what I think you would. That's how I picture all of you fighting. Like this.
Or they start crying and doing the windmill.
Yeah. That's how I think you fight. I think you look like a girl. I think you fight like a girl. And if you put all of you in a ring together with just me, you would all get beat up. I believe that. Call me crazy. Call me every little name in the book. But my friends and my family call me Wolf. You don't have the right to call me that. Because you're not my friends. And you're not my family. You're just little punks. Bottom feeders. And in fact, I got more respect for the man in the swamp than I got you. Because you're a bottom feeding little piece of crap, all of you. Because all you can do is go after and pick on people. You don't even have the ability to make your own fake crap. At least he makes fake crap. That's like having a store with stuff made from China. At least you got something to sell. I gotta say, I got way more respect for these other guys than I got for them. No respect. I really have no respect for any of you. None of you. Because I'm still going to be here week in and week out. And next week, we decided, or later this week, we decided we're not going to talk about this crap, whatever. But after today's video that Clough dropped, I felt like I needed to say something. Clough is my friend. I'm not commissioning him to make these videos. I promise you. It's all him. He does it on his own. I did, however, have a talk with him and told him, look, from now on, I need to be able to approve something if you're going to use me or whatever. And he was like, okay, that's fine. He understood. But as far as I'm concerned, he's doing God's work. He's calling you out for what you are. See, I don't think Dusher ever thought that anybody would make a video of him. You be a man and you apologize to me. And I'll apologize to you for calling you bearded lady and whatever else. You go your way, I go mine. But I am not going on your channel because I'm not giving you the validity that you so desperately want. And you're not coming on mine. Why would I put you on my channel, boy? For what? For you to sit up there and lie? Why would I go to your channel, boy? So you could ambush me, talk over me, edit it, change it, wrap it up, flip it, rub it down. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't care. But I can tell you this, as far as I'm concerned, they can all go and eat a turd this big full of mustard. Just put it all on there and put it on a bun and eat it. That's what I think of all of you. Probably already did it. They'd probably sell their souls and their mama too to be on TV or to be relevant. Wouldn't you? Never going to happen. None of you. You'll never be anything, ever. And you know it. And you're horribly upset about it. And you're throwing a temper tantrum because you will never be shit. It's just the truth. Because you don't know. The main thing that they miss, the main thing that they lack, is to actually care about their fellow man. So when you can't do that, I can't care about you. I will pray for you. And I will forgive you 1,000 times 1,000. But I can't bring myself to care about your situations that you get yourself into because you had it coming. Because you have no compassion for anyone else.
And just see each other as a means to an end.
Think of all the people that you've attacked, son. I don't know those people. But you attacked me, and so it makes me think that some of those people may be innocent that you and Dill Pickle went after. I tried messaging you, Dill Pickle. I asked you a question. You didn't answer me, son. Well, now I hope you know where I stand. I think you're a punk, and I think Strudel's a punk, and I think your friend is a punk, and I still want my apology. Keep talking about fighting me. You couldn't fight me on your best day. You'd get your skinny neck wrung if you tried. But I know you won't. I'm not worried about it. So keep woofing about fighting me, little boys. You're boys. You're all boys. A lot bigger, better, stronger men than you've tried. So keep doing 100 push-ups. Let's see where that gets you. All right, folks. This is it. Tomorrow, got an amazing story to tell. I hope you guys enjoy it. And we won't even talk about these people. Or on Thursday. The Wednesday show, which is actually the Thursday show, it's been moved to Wednesday because I'm on Blondes and Booze on Thursday. Wednesday. Mm-hmm. That show, if you're into the Shadow Man thing, she was talking, the last 2 episodes we've done on Wednesday, last Wednesday and the Wednesday before, I don't even know exactly what episodes those are, but the girl's name is Angela Shelton, the lady's name. And she talks extensively about these encounters with these spirits, right? And the Shadow Man too, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you're into that, a lot of people have questioned me about the Shadow Man and stuff, and so I've been doing a little more, digging in and trying to find those stories or whatever from the people that have sent me stuff. Go check them out, because those last 2 Wednesdays, we've been talking about her. She's been talking about it. I don't do much talking on there. She's done it. And then the last week's episode on the Tuesday ties into this week's show on Tuesday. All right? So go check it out. And, thanks for listening. Go check out Clough's channel. What is Clough's channel called again?
Clough's Paranormal.
Link. Okay.
Clough's Paranormal and Drama and News.
Clough's Paranormal Drama and News. Turdwater acted like I'm an infidel. He calls me what does he call me?
Heathen.
A heathen. Yeah, I'm not the one that practices voodoo or names my companies after that. Did I just say that? Yeah, I did. Purse comes first. All right, folks, I'll see you. Good night.